Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, join us as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all sorts of good stuff. And we got a lot of good stuff to talk about here today, and it's not just me, guys. I'm joined, of course, by the one and the only, the wonderful, the almost finally done with his movie, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing, sir?
John, I got to tell you, Hot Toys has shipped a chair to me.
Oh, for
just a chair, the Throne of Wakanda. Hot Toys actually just put out a chair, not with a figure. It's just a chair.
Just the chair, standalone chair.
You can buy a 1/6 scale toilet and bathroom if you go to the Big Bad Toy Store. They actually sell one. I haven't bought that yet,
for your
John.
various figures.
For your various figures, you can actually
get
a bathtub and a shower and a toilet. Not going to buy that, but I for the very first time, this is new for even me. How many kids would be excited to get a chair?
Well, one kid, you. That I knew. All right, listen, guys, we do have a lot of stuff here to talk about today, and most of it is our main topics, the things you guys have sent in. But before we get to that stuff, we do have a couple things to talk about here off the top. First thing we're going to talk about here off the top is this. Rob, I know there's this project that you were actually really looking forward to, and that they announced for a while. It was called Mouse Guard, and it was a Disney project, and then Disney kind of put the brakes on it literally days before it was supposed to go into full-blown production. And they kind of put the brakes on it. The director and the producers were then able to go and shop it around, but apparently now it's official. Mouse Guard is officially dead. The movie is now off. It ain't gonna happen. They apparently tried to shop it around to some places. It was going to be a very, very expensive film, from what we understand, because visually they were just going to do something very, very special with it on that level. But Mouse Guard apparently is now done. Rob, I know you and I have talked about this movie over its various stages of production over the last year or so, and I know this was one you were really looking forward to. You hear about it. Number one, are you surprised to hear that it couldn't find another home? I mean, understanding it was going to be a big ticket kind of project. But number two, your reaction, your feelings on it getting canned.
Well, you know, when this graphic novel first came out, I don't remember the actual year, but it had to have been like more than 10 years ago, I'm thinking. But this graphic novel was all the rage, and it wasn't something that I would normally pick up. And then because people were talking about it, I did pick it up, and it was wonderful. You know, it's basically, let's call it an epic fantasy story, but with mice. You know, and it was really beautiful. The illustrations were beautiful. The story was really compelling. And when I heard it was going to be done, I wasn't really tracking it. And then it seemed to me that by the time I heard about it to the time it was going to go into production was quick. And then I was like, because it was a Fox project, what's going to happen? And now it's completely gone. And as you were pointing out, they released this online sizzle reel. It's like, 9 minutes or something? And what a missed opportunity. But I have to believe, John, even though they say it's dead, I think a project this good can't die.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, they just to your point, they did kind of release this stuff of here's kind of some. They just basically said it's very advanced animatics.
Right.
So as beautiful and as gorgeous as this thing was, it wasn't even probably 1/5 of what the final kind of renders, and oh God, I love that image.
Yeah.
What the final renders of this thing was going to be and look like. And I'm telling you what, it looked effing epic.
I'm crying over it. I mean,
it looked beautiful.
Yeah, and that was one of the great attractions of the graphic novel is the art.
Right.
You know, and the character design. And that's true, I think, of any animated film, but this looked like it was going to be something special, but I have to believe that someone else is going to pick it up. I have to, but then there's not a lot of people left that can afford it.
Yeah, that's the key, right? I mean, the way they were talking about how they wanted to do it on such an epic scale, this was going to be something that approached the $200 million mark.
And this is not
production, you know.
Yeah, this is not a Disney thing. It's very adult, even though it's Mouse Guard. It's not like Disney. No wonder Disney killed it. It doesn't exactly fit.
And you're saying it's very adult, not based on the little sizzle reel, but based on the fact that you've read the material and stuff like that.
The material is not, it's not for kids. It's not like some cute mouse tale. It's very adult.
Right.
Now, I mean, it's not like heavy metal adult, but it's adult oriented material, and I can understand why Disney's like, we don't really have a place for this. I understand why. It's just really unfortunate.
Well, they did until they dropped $71 billion to drop Fox.
Yeah.
That's when this all kind of went down. They were so close to starting production. I'll tell you what, I wasn't super excited about this until this morning. I heard it was canceled. Oh, that's too bad. But then when I watched that sizzle reel, I'm like, oh my God, now I really want to watch this. I want to see, this looks great, but
yeah.
Hey guys, it is what it is. What do you guys think about that? Are you guys surprised that Mouse Guard got canned? How are you feeling about it? Do you not really care? Were you not really looking that forward to it anyway? Are you really disappointed? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down and out of the way, let's go to another off the top issue here. Just coming out this morning, we have been talking about this for a while. Avengers Endgame, we've been saying, look, there's a 3-month window from when a movie comes out to when it can go out on home video. That is almost done. It's going to be within probably a month, 5 weeks, something like that. It's now official. They've put out the announcement and the trailer for the home video release. Avengers Endgame will be released about 1 month from now on July 30th on all streaming home video digital services, and then on physical media, Blu-ray, and on demand on August 13th is when you can get your hands on that stuff. Now, going over to what they're talking about as far as what's going to be available on this thing. So this is what they're saying is going to be available on it. They're saying the good news, this is from our friends over at Slashfilm, by the way. Good news is that this isn't a bare bones home video release either. It comes with a slew of special features, including 6 deleted scenes, a gag reel, and an audio commentary. There is also something called a visionary intro, which is just an introduction by co-directors Anthony and Joe Russo, so I guess that's cool. There's also said to be a tribute to Stan Lee in there as well. So that's it. I mean, it's official. It's coming. The Avengers, we now know a release date for this. And Rob, I got to imagine there's probably not, I think it's fair to say, there's not going to be a more highly anticipated. Look, the home video market today is nothing compared to what it was a long time ago. But I don't think there's going to be another title that comes out this year, maybe not even the next couple of years on home video, that will be getting more attention and have more anticipation than this one particular thing. So Rob, number one, let me ask you about this. It's coming out on home video. Are you surprised that they're putting it out this early? I mean, it is the window now. They can release it. But did you think maybe they might, I don't know, like draw it out a little bit more, maybe put a little further out? Are you surprised that they are doing it, in fact, this early? And what things are you looking forward to on this home video release?
Well, first of all, I had pre-ordered the Steelbook from Best Buy. I mean, to put up there with my Infinity War 4K Steelbook. No, it's interesting to me because usually a release like this would have traditionally been put out at the holidays.
Right, yeah.
They would wait like pre-Thanksgiving and release it and really push it for the holidays. But I think, those days are kind of over. And I think that what's really interesting to me, and I don't know the economics, but they're just going to keep that rolling. You go from one fiscal quarter to the next, and you show that Endgame is going to be making money hand over fist for not just 3 months, but for probably 5 or 6 months consecutively, because right after the theatrical run ends, the home video release, first of all, it's available for digital download. God knows how many hundreds of or tens of millions of dollars they're going to make from that. Then then you get the Blu-ray release 2 weeks later. It's pretty incredible. It's certainly one of my most anticipated releases of the year. It's not my most anticipated release of the year of home video, though.
Oh.
It's fourth.
Okay. Well, you can't leave that there. What are you looking forward to more than
number one video release, not just of this year, but for many years? Second Sight in the UK is getting access to George Romero for the very first time, access to the original elements, the original negative elements of George Romero's Dawn of the Dead, one of my favorite movies of all time. I have a Dawn of the Dead fetish. I can't tell you how many times. I have a whole collection of things. No one's had access to the original negative. That's number one. Number two is Francis Ford Coppola's restoration, his new version of Apocalypse Now.
Oh, wow.
Apocalypse Now,
that's
the final cut.
I did remember about that. Yeah.
And in the box, you get that cut, and you also get 4K versions of the theatrical Apocalypse Now and Apocalypse Now Redux. And then my third release is the miniseries From the Earth to the Moon, the Tom Hanks produced HBO miniseries. And they've remastered. The reason it hasn't come out in HD before is they had to redo all of the special effects in HD, which they have done just in time for the 50th anniversary of the Apollo moon landing, which happens on July 20th. I'm very excited.
And then Endgame.
And then, of course, Endgame.
Well, I'll tell you what, though. What a lot of people are going to miss in all this is here's why they're not waiting much longer. Because Disney Plus is coming.
Oh, right.
Disney Plus is coming. And they said, wait, people aren't going to buy our thing if it's available. If they're going to get Disney Plus, it's going to be available to them 24/7, whenever they want to watch it on that. So this is triple dipping. And you know what? I don't say that in any sort of negative connotation. This is good business. This is very good business. Because, somebody sent a message to me right after this news dropped. Well, John, did you see this? Why wouldn't they wait? Why wouldn't they give the theatrical release more of a chance? Well, the theatrical release is pretty much out of steam anyway. So there's that. But the other thing is they know they've only got a certain window of time that they can really capitalize on getting this stuff. Now, there are going to be the hardcore physical media people that even if Disney Plus was out tomorrow, they would still probably buy a physical media copy of the movie anyway. I believe probably yourself included, Rob. But really, they know they've got a window of opportunity to make a bunch of money on this thing with home video sales that they have to take advantage of now, because their likelihood of making money on those sales are going to be diminished a lot once Disney Plus comes out. And then they're just going to benefit from it being on Disney Plus as well. So it's a good move. It's a good move, man. So I don't see any drawback for them if you're Disney.
John, you just kind of made me sad because I realized that maybe Spider-Man Far From Home, which really is Sony, but it's still part of the MCU, might be the last MCU movie I buy physically.
Ooh.
The end of the Infinity Saga. It's all going to come out by November in 4K.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's, I think, the only thing. And by the way, there's whispers of Star Wars 4K 9-disc set. Who knows? But will I never buy?
Yeah, but it'll be George Lucas's Redux. It won't be the originals.
I don't know. But I just think it's the end of an era. I mean, we talk about this. We talk about physical media coming to an end. I see it happening.
Yeah.
Because Disney was one of the first people to jump into physical media back in the late 70s, early 80s, and now they might be the first people to completely jump out.
We'll have to see how that sort of unfolds. Question is for you guys. Are you excited about the home release of Avengers Endgame? Are you going to run out and buy a copy? You're going to get a physical copy? You're just going to get one on, like you buy a physical copy like Rob, you're just going to get a download digital streaming copy like myself, or are you going to be, hey, I'm getting Disney Plus in a few months, I'm just going to wait? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, with that stuff down out of the way, let's go to our main topics today. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's simple. You guys come up with them by going to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you get there, fill out the form with your topic or question, hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic or question featured here on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's go on to our first main topic today. And our first main topic today gets sent in to us from Roshan Malip. I'm terrible with names. Malapati Shrestha, who writes, "Hi, John. From Nepal." Well, thank you for writing in from Nepal.
How cool is that?
It's pretty awesome. Deadline just released an article saying that The Lion King recorded the second best advance ticket sales in 24 hours of the year, behind Endgame. While I know your stance on advance ticket sales, could the movie possibly break Infinity War's weekend numbers? Already got my tickets, so freaking excited. All right, thanks a lot for that message, Roshan. And yeah, the numbers are now coming out. I got my my email blast from Fandango last night. Adam Tickets also put one out, just basically saying what a lot of us suspected. The Lion King tickets went on sale, and the sales are huge. How huge? Adam Tickets is even reporting that advanced ticket sales for this are ahead of Black Panther, but that was like over a year ago, but also ahead of this year's Captain Marvel. As a matter of fact, Fandango and Adam Tickets say they're ahead of everything that has come out this year, save for a movie with the word Endgame in the title. That's it. And we know and can only imagine just how big that was. So the question then is, just how big could Lion King's opening weekend be? Now, Rob, there was a point a while ago where I thought, hey, I still think the number one movie of the year, box office wise, will be Endgame, but I think there's a chance it could be this Lion King movie. Now, this is like 3, 4, 5 months ago. Once the opening, I'm no longer singing that tune.
Right.
Lion King is not going to make $2.7 billion. But I'll tell you what, I'm still a believer that this could be a $2 billion film. Now, look, we're always talking about the fact that don't get too wrapped up in these advanced ticket sales numbers, because advanced ticket sales are growing exponentially as more and more people adopt the technology. Yeah. But still, it is interesting to note that within the same year, this is outpacing every other movie, including Toy Story, including Captain Marvel, including a lot of other big high-profile projects, and it's only behind Endgame. Could it actually catch Endgame's opening weekend numbers? Not a chance in hell. It's going to be the next biggest, but remember, Avengers Endgame made $357 million, obliterating the previous record by $100 million. Lion King is going to be huge by any scale, and by any definition, it's going to be huge. Catch Endgame's opening weekend numbers? Nah. I'll tell you what, Rob, I'll go so far as this. Even if Fandango and Atom Tickets said that the new Lion King movie that they just put tickets on sale has sold more tickets than Endgame did, I still wouldn't believe that it would actually catch the Endgame opening weekend box office record. So while it's going to be big and huge, and I'm excited and I cannot wait, to quote Vincent McMahon, no chance in hell does this thing catch that. I don't know, Rob, are you more optimistic about it than me?
No, I'm with you 100%. I mean, it's extraordinary. I think the biggest takeaway from this is what you've been talking about, is the evolution of film going and ticket sales and buying tickets. The fact that more and more people are aware of, first of all, release dates. They're more aware of buying these advanced tickets, that these movies are becoming events that people want to participate in that opening weekend. They want to participate in the excitement of going. It's really good for the franchise movie-going industry. You know, I imagine that somebody should put out, like, Funny or Die, should make one of those videos with Bob Iger, and they should remake the montage from Scarface when Tony Montana is selling cocaine in Miami, and they play that techno song Push It to the Limit, and you see how he's buying a lion and he's buying a new house and all these cars, and you just watch the counters count all the dollar bills as Tony Montana becomes rich. I want to see that with Bob Iger, because between Aladdin going past 800 million worldwide, between Captain Marvel, between Endgame, between Frozen 2 pre-sale tickets, Episode 9, this guy, how much money is Disney going to make, John? I mean, these movies come out, and I'm like, I'm great. I feel good that the business is good. Good on Jon Favreau, good on Disney. But how much money can one studio make in a year?
Well, where do you think Lion King could come in an opening weekend?
God, I think it's going to be, if it's not 350 million, I could see it 250. I could see 250 million. I mean, I think every human being on the planet Earth is going to drive, because more so than Endgame, you can't take you could take 5-year-old kids to Endgame, but you can take 5-year-old kids to Lion King and not bat an eye. So there's a whole audience of kids that might have been too young to see Endgame, but are going to go to Lion King. Parents that are going to be like, this is an event, you know, you couldn't participate with your older brother and sister who are 8, 9, and 10, and 11 for Endgame, but we're going to take you to Lion King. The whole family can go. And grandma and grandpa, all the way down to 5-year-old Mikey and Tina. Whoever Mikey and Tina are, I just made that up. But this is amazing, John. This is an amazing event. I'm not Endgame numbers, but definitely 250 million, perhaps.
So you're thinking, like, let's say Endgame had not come out this year. You're thinking Lion King, in that environment, there was a shot Lion King could break the opening weekend box office record. In the absence of Endgame.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I do, because there's the kind of awareness that you have for Lion King. You're talking, 25 years? You're talking a quarter of a century of the planet Earth loving Lion King.
Yeah.
And then not only that, there's parents and older brothers and sisters. People are primed to take kids to their first experience with Lion King. There's a whole generation of kids that have never seen the animation yet. The animated film, the original. And you know, if I was, this makes me, it's one of those times when you want to have kids. Like, I don't have kids, you don't have kids, but wouldn't it be great to have like 5-year-olds? I want to like call up my friends and go, hey, can I borrow your kids? Like, I wanted to borrow people's kids when School of Rock came out. I went and saw School of Rock. I actually went to see School of Rock at a matinee on a Saturday. The opening Saturday was open, even though I'd seen it twice, just to hear kids respond to it. And I was when I walked out, some kid said, "Dad, can we get Led Zeppelin records?" I'm like, "Oh, this is the greatest thing ever." And I can see that. I think parents are going to be primed to take their young kids to see this movie. I think grandparents are going to want to go see this movie. It's going to be. I mean, Bob Iger is going to be laughing.
The
all the way to
advanced
the
ticket
bank.
sales are showing that out. So question is, guys, what do you think about that, all that? Do you think with the fact that Lion King, first of all, what do you think about Lion King being the second most tickets sold in advance this year, only behind Endgame? But do you think there's any chance that that could be positioning it to actually beat Endgame's opening weekend record? We don't think so, but maybe you do, and maybe you've got a good reason for it. Jump down to the comments section below and let me know what you guys think. All right, let's move on now to the second main topic today. And the second main topic today is given to us by Barry Downey, who writes, "Hi, John. Well, it went by fast, but we are already at the midway point of the year." It's true, we are. I know a lot of the bigger prestige and Oscar films usually come out in the second half of the year, but I was wondering if you'd mind sharing what your personal top 5 favorite films of 2019 are at the halfway point. Thanks, and bring on the filthy. All right, thanks a lot for that, Barry. And yeah, it is... I remember when I first saw this message, I'm like, it's not it is the midway point. We're at the halfway mark. I mean, give or take a couple of days, but we're at the midway point of the year. This year's flying by. This year's just absolutely flying by.
It is.
There have been a number of disappointments in the theater this year, but I'll tell you what, we've been so wrapped up, I think, in talking about the disappointments that we've been overlooking a lot of really good movies that have come out this year. And we're only and you're right, Barry, it's a lot of the bigger, higher profile, prestige and Oscar-worthy films don't even come out till later in the year. And I think already at this point, we've had some damn good movies and some damn good time at the cinema. Let me give you a couple of my, honorable mentions before I get to my top 5. I love Shazam. I loved Shazam. I loved it more than most people did. But I just think that movie is a delight and awesome. Didn't make my top 5 of the midpoint of the year, but I really did enjoy Shazam. I got a real big kick out of Ma. There's a few other films like that. But anyway, here's my top 5, Rob, and then I want to hear from you about yours. These are my top 5. Remember, this is my personal list. You guys, there's not a single one of you out there whose list will look exactly the same as mine, okay? So don't get upset that I don't put your favorite film on my list, but here's mine as of right now. All right, my number 1 film of the year right now is still Booksmart. To me, it's still the best movie of the year. It resonated with me. I found the heart of it was just overwhelmingly present in the film. This was a film that just had so much heart and so much charisma and so much personality in it. And so much, like when the characters were feeling something, I found I was sitting in the audience. It's a couple of teenage girls. And I was able as an audience member to feel really strong senses of empathy. And I just bought it, to me, still the number 1 best film of the year. I don't expect it'll be my number 1 film of the year by the time we get to the end of the year. But right now, to me, it's the best film of the year. Coming in the number 2 spot, and it was close between 2 and 3, but for me is Toy Story 4. I still prefer Booksmart a little bit, and I give it a slight edge over the number 3 spot. But Toy Story 4, you know what? When we did our spoiler discussion of it the other day, as I'm talking about it, I just realized more and more how much I appreciated this movie on such a deep, deep level. It is the deepest of all the Toy Story movies. I believe it's the funniest of the Toy Story movies. It's probably got more emotion than any of the Toy Story movies. Still nothing compares to that incinerator scene in Toy Story 3. And I still think Toy Story 3 overall might be the better movie, but Toy Story 4 is just remarkable to me. It is my second favorite movie of the year so far. For me, again, it was real close. Just like number 2 and 3 were really close. Number 3 and number 4 were really, really close. But I'm going to give the edge in the 3 and 4 spot to Avengers Endgame. I'm going to give Endgame my number 3 film of the year. It is everything that comic book movies as a genre have been building up for. While I do not believe Endgame is the best comic book movie ever made, Endgame represents the promise of what comic book movies could deliver comic book fans on the big screen, you know? And they did it incredibly well. I saw it 4 times in theaters. I'm not going back to watch it for a couple of post-credit scenes, mind you, but I did see it 4 times in theaters. The moment it becomes available on home video, even though I know all I have to do is wait a couple months and I'm going to get it for free on Disney Plus, don't matter. The moment this thing's available on July 30th, I am buying my digital copy of Avengers Endgame, and I cannot wait. It comes in at my number 3 spot. At number 4, which was a real close race with Endgame, is just John Wick. Now, I do believe overall Endgame was the better film. But if you had told me after I saw Endgame that there would be a movie with action that I found more exciting than Endgame's action, I would have said you're crazy, even though I knew a John Wick film was coming. John Wick 3, the action, it's just all action, and it's amazing, and I loved it, and I ate it up, and I've only seen it twice in theaters. I got to get back out before it leaves theaters and see it again. And then coming in my number 5 spot, I keep saying it's no Bohemian Rhapsody, but it is a wonderful film in its own right, Rocketman. Terrific performance by Taron Egerton in that. It's a movie that the way they tell the story, kind of non-linearly and stuff like that, it draws you in. It's a little fantastical musical, kind of like Moulin Rouge was. So it's really a little bit more like Moulin Rouge than it is like Bohemian Rhapsody. But it's a wonderful film. I'm not even a big Elton John fan. And I walked out of that going, wow, you forget how much music that defines our culture that Elton John did. And so on so many levels, I just thought it was fantastic. I give it my number 5. So I know this is a lot of very different types of films. My number 1 is Booksmart. My number 2 is Toy Story 4. My number 3 is Endgame. My number 4 is John Wick. My number 5 is Rocketman. Oh, and I should point out this. While putting my list together, I purposefully decided that I would only do films that got wide release. Oh. Because, and that's not something you asked me to do in the email, I understand, but I decided if I'm going to put up movies, I might as well include the movies that you would have, if you're watching this, you would have had an opportunity to see. And not every movie would most people around the world have a chance to see. So I've just a little asterisk there that I've limited this to the films that actually got wide release that anybody could have seen at any time. So those are my 5. Rob, let me put it over to you. It's been a really interesting year so far. Some highs, some lows. What right now, midpoint 2019, stands out to you as your favorite 5 films of the year?
Okay, my number 1 favorite movie of the year is a documentary.
Oh, really?
Yep. Apollo 11.
Oh, right.
Apollo 11 was all about it. It's basically a You Are There documentary about the first moon landing, which celebrates its 50th anniversary this year. I'm a huge space freak, and it's an astonishing achievement because for the very first time, there was 70 millimeter footage that they shot in and around the launch that had never been seen before. And they released the film in IMAX. And over the course of my lifetime, I think I've watched every single film that's ever been released from NASA or on the moon landings, and it's jaw-dropping, absolutely jaw-dropping. It's out on Blu-ray now. You can see it. It's on CNN. CNN co-produced the film. By far my favorite movie of the year because it showed me things that I hadn't seen before. And, of course, the moon landing is near and dear to my heart. So that was number 1 for me. Number 2, Endgame. Just for all the reasons that you said. I loved Endgame. It's different than Infinity War, but an astonishing achievement. My number 3, another dark horse candidate, Fighting with My Family.
Oh God, I meant to make that one of my honorable mentions.
Fighting with My Family. This movie. I was very surprised. Yeah, I was not exactly in my wheelhouse.
It makes me so happy that you listed that one. It really does. I love that movie.
Fighting with My Family. A movie that was delightful.
And had no business being any good.
No, absolutely
being any good.
Delightful. And based on a true story, so it's kind of a docudrama. My number 4 movie is a Netflix movie, I Am Mother, which is
with Hilary Swank.
With Hilary Swank, Oscar winner Hilary Swank. I've gotten to the point where I just expect mediocrity out of I Am Mother. I was really taken with the film. It's what I call a bottle movie. It sort of takes place in one location. Weta Workshop created the robot in it. Really, really enjoyed it. Now, and my 4th and final, my fifth place thing is I'm cheating because I haven't seen Toy Story. I haven't seen Booksmart. I love John Wick, but I'm not going to put it there. I think it's the most astonishing achievement of any kind of filmed medium, whatever, of the year is Chernobyl.
Now that is cheating because that's
HBO's
a
Chernobyl.
TV miniseries.
It is a
not
miniseries.
movie.
I know, but you know what? It's the best thing. It's actually the best thing I've seen all year. I put it on top.
Screens.
On screens, and I look at it and I'm like, I keep going back to that because to me, if it was a movie and it feels like a movie that would have been made in the 70s, I can't believe that we have it, and it's had unprecedented success. Now, there's other movies like the things that I like another Netflix movie, Always Be My Maybe.
Yeah, delightful.
I didn't think I was going to like that. Now, I didn't want to be one of those guys, but now there's talk. But these are my favorite things that I've seen all year. But to me, Chernobyl represents the greatest achievement in direction, the greatest achievement in acting of the year so far. And it's my favorite thing. But as a movie, there's other things I could put around there. Like, I love the hell out of John Wick 3, but I can't put it like on a best of yet list. I can't do that otherwise. But Chernobyl and I Am Mother didn't let me down. That was the thing. They were things that really astonished me. Now, I haven't seen Toy Story 4, which I think I'm going to love because probably I loved all the Toy Story movies. But that's where I'm at now. That's where my head is at. But all Apollo right. 11, I can't stress enough. If you could watch it on a big screen, because even in HD, the Blu-ray is beautiful. And, All
right, guys. Well, let's put the question to you. It's the midpoint of the year. What are the 5 best films you guys have seen this year? Go on, step up, put your money where your mouth is, jump in the comment section and list out your top 5 favorite movies of the year. We want to hear what you guys have to say. All right, with that down, let's move on to main topic number 3. And the third main topic today comes to us from Ryan Woolmuth, who writes, "Hey, John, greetings from Minnesota. With Spider-Man Far From Home opening next Tuesday, do you think it's a mistake by Disney releasing it so close to Toy Story 4? And do you think it will hurt Toy Story's box office?" All right. Thanks a lot for the question, man. And yeah, Spider-Man Far From Home, ladies and gentlemen. Cannot wait. I'm getting more and more stoked for this movie.
Me too.
Yes. I'm so pumped for this thing. But it is opening very close to Toy Story 4. Couple of weeks. There's a couple of things that I think we should be pointed out here. The first thing I want to point out is this. If Disney didn't have a big movie like Toy Story opening when it did, that would have left an open spot in the summer release schedule that another studio just would have come along and dropped a major film in. Spider-Man Far From Home was going to have a big movie opening in a 2-week, as long as it's not 1 week after the other, but within a 2-week window of it, regardless of whether it was a Disney film, a Universal film, a Paramount film, whatever, it was going to face competition. The only difference is the competition is one of its own movies, asterisks. We'll get to the asterisks in a second. So it's going to face competition. You put a movie out in the summer, you're going to face competition. That's just the bottom line. The other thing that really needs to be pointed out here was this. Disney is not releasing Spider-Man Far From Home a couple of weeks after Toy Story because Disney is not releasing Spider-Man Far From Home. It is a Sony movie. It's totally understandable, Rob. It's totally understandable why people keep forgetting that. But it's an important distinction. This is a Sony movie. I know it's weird to think of it that way. It's MCU. It's, Kevin Feige's the producer of it. It's all that kind of stuff. But it is, the distributor of this movie is Sony. And the distributor decides. Now, I know there's going to be a bunch of people who think they know something all around going, no, Disney's still more powerful. So they made the decision about, no, they did not. Sony's the distributor. Spider-Man is their character. They chose when to put it out. Now, I have no doubt that there was probably some consultation with Disney. Absolutely, of that I have no doubt. However, the bottom line is Sony decides when to release the film because it's their film to distribute. And again, so I really don't think it's a big deal. On top of all that, while there will be some crossover demographics here, Rob, I believe, between a Toy Story audience and a Spider-Man audience, I'm totally into both. They are, on a general term, they are 2 different types of movies. You're getting the family audience to one, you're getting more of the geek audience to the other, so there's some differential there. So I honestly don't think there's any downside here. Having a Spider-Man Far From Home 7 days after Toy Story comes out, that becomes a little questionable. But, I've said for a long time, Rob, I believe 2 weeks in the way today's movies work, I believe 2 weeks is enough time. So I personally don't think there's going to be any problem or any bumps in the road for it right now. I don't know. How do you see that?
I agree with you. I think that, look, like you said, it's a Sony movie. I think Toy Story has its audience. I think Spider-Man has its audience. While there's a lot of crossover, it's the summer movie season. So I don't see that there's a lot of interference happening. And remember, they moved Spider-Man up a few days to open. It's opening on the 2nd, which is Monday.
Right.
And it's Tuesday. It opens Monday night, midnight, something like that. But I don't see it as being a problem. And like you said, what were they going to do? Push it deeper into the summer? Yeah, I don't. I think that they're going to ride the crest of that 4th of July weekend right into box office gold. And Sony wants a little bit of that Marvel cheddar, their little Disney cheddar, and they're going to get it because, from all accounts, Spider-Man Far From Home is a wonderful movie, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm dying to see this. I think the marketing's been sharp. I loved Homecoming. I know you didn't like Homecoming as much as I did, but I personally really loved Homecoming. He's had a great presence in Infinity War and Endgame. Yeah, it's going to be huge, and I don't think the Toy Story thing's going to infect it at all. What do you guys think? Do you think there was maybe a strategic mistake for Sony and Disney to have a Toy Story 4 open in close proximity? Remember, it's not like it's 1 week separated. It's a couple of weeks separated. But do you think maybe there was a strategic mistake there? If so, why? Jump down the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 4. And our 4th main topic today comes to us from Amis R, who writes, "Hey, John. Did you hear about the footage contained within the extra scenes in Endgame? Message from Russo's, Hulk post-credit scene, Stan Lee tribute, and Far From Home tease. Do you think this is enough, or should there be more to keep fans interested?" All right, thanks a lot for the message, Amis. And here's what Amis is talking about, all right? This is what Amis is talking about. A bunch of the stuff that is going to be in these post-credit scenes, and again, it bears repeating. Remember, guys, it's the exact same Avengers Endgame movie that's going to be in theaters this weekend as it's always been. It's not changing one bit. It's the exact same movie. There are no added scenes. There's nothing like that at all. It is the exact same movie. The only difference is stuff that comes post-credits. They're going to drop a couple of things post-credits. Now, Marvel officially put out a statement telling us most of what this post-credit stuff is going to be. Here's what it was written in that stuff. Now, this comes to us from Polygon. And in the press release, it says this: "Fans who buy a movie ticket will receive an exclusive piece of Avengers art," which everybody throws away 5 minutes after they get in the theater, because lots of movies do this, "while supplies last until supplies run out, and will also be treated to a video introduction by the director Anthony Russo and one unfinished deleted scene from the film, and it will be a chance for fans to get a head start on the upcoming Marvel Studios Spider-Man Far From Home with a special sneak peek." Okay, so essentially this. Marvel has now told us we're getting a deleted scene, 1. We are getting an introduction by the director. Fine. We kind of knew that. We're going to get a sneak peek at Spider-Man Far From Home. Essentially a new trailer or a new scene that they probably would have dropped online anyway. There's also words, it also says that we're probably going to get a tribute to Stan Lee, which is what we all expected already anyway. Now, the one kind of catch on this that goes along with this is that a couple of reports started floating around that we can neither confirm nor deny are actually true. There's a good possibility this isn't true at all, but the word going around right now is that the deleted scene they're going to show involves Bruce Banner or, Professor Hulk. It's going to involve Hulk. There's no information about what it will be. And again, it very well may not be true at all, Rob. This report about this could absolutely be 100% untrue. But the word is that it's going to be Professor Hulk in some deleted scene involving him. Now, for those of you who might get excited and go, "We're going to see Hulk smash." No, we're not. That's not the Hulk that they went for in this movie. So I'm assuming the deleted scene might be a conversation between him and Black Widow. It's going to be a talking scene, I believe. It's probably not going to be an action scene, but that's just my guess. So the question that the person who sent it in, Rob, is asking Is this enough to motivate people to run out and buy a movie ticket to go see one deleted scene, an introduction from the directors, which we get attached to a lot of movies anyway, an extra little look at Far From Home, a movie that opens up in a week and a half anyway, a tribute to Stan Lee, which I'll tell you what, out of all the stuff they're talking about, that's the part that interests me the most, is the Stan Lee tribute part. I got to tell you, I can only speak for myself. It ain't enough to get me to run out to the theater again. For post-credits, for just that. And by the way, Rob, going back to this other thing we talked about off the top, they already just announced that, oh, look, all that stuff was already listed that they're going to have in the home video release 1 month from now. 1 month from now. Introduction from the director. Instead of one, they're going to have 6 deleted scenes, tribute to Stan Lee. The only thing that wasn't mentioned there was a sneak peek at Spider-Man Far From Home, because Spider-Man Far From Home will already be in theaters by the time this home video comes out. But other than that, Spider-Man Far From Home, it's all stuff that's going to be in the home release in 4.5 weeks. So I'll tell you what, Rob, I believe that there are people out there who you could say, in the post-credit scene, there will be a 3-second shot of Robert Downey Jr. biting into a donut and then smiling at the camera, and there will be some people that go and buy a new ticket to go see that. I mean, there just are. There's a lot of Endgame enthusiasm. Will this get a lot of people out? Rob, the only way I see this getting a lot of people out is if it's people who misunderstand what it is they're getting. Because I am still seeing online, Rob, people who have an assumption. There's still people online. I'm seeing it on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. There are still people thinking that they're going to go see Avengers Endgame again this weekend, and they're going to see extra scenes put in, and they're not. So I don't know. I don't see this as enough to motivate a lot of people. Rob, you heard the rundown of the list. Let's just, for the sake of discussion, assume that the Hulk part is true, even though it very well may not be. But let's just, for the sake of the discussion, it is. Is this enough, do you think, to warrant and justify running out and seeing the movie again?
No. I mean, here's the thing. What do people want to see most in situations like this? They want to see scenes that they didn't see. You know, ever since the Lord of the Rings extended versions have come out, we know that these large, giant tentpole properties have missing scenes that are taken out for whatever reason. There's director's cuts. We have director's cuts of T2, of Aliens, of The Abyss from James Cameron, Ridley Scott, the director's cut of The Martian and half of his movies. That's what people like more than anything, is they like to see scenes, more information than the movies had in them. And we're getting 8 deleted scenes on the home video release. 8.
Or it's a 6. 6 or 8, whatever, a bunch.
6 or 8 or something, whatever you just said.
Plus a gag reel. Plus a gag reel.
Yeah, plus a gag reel. I mean, and people love gag reels. And I just think that while it's cool, I would rather have them come out with an ad campaign that says, help us make Endgame the #1 film of all time. Beat Avatar. Go see it again. I would have been like, all right, maybe I'll do that. But this just seems sort of lackluster, if that, for lack of a better word. I would like to have seen a little bit more, I think, or the rumored Michael Pena scene where he in his character from Ant-Man explains the entire MCU. Luis, that they filmed this sequence. They've said they filmed it. Feige confirmed they filmed it. That's what I would love to have seen.
I want to see that so
I would have
bad.
gone out to see that. That was the thing that I most. If that was at the end of the movie, I'm like, I'm going to see that.
I gotta admit, and I think I said this before, if there was anything that might nudge me to go just into the theater again this weekend to see what's up, is if they included that. If they included that and advertised that, yeah, even if it was only like 3 minutes long, I got to admit, I would probably be so weak that I would probably break down and go in and see that too.
I mean, they might unveil it at Comic-Con.
They might unveil it at Comic-Con. They might be, they might be saving that for Comic-Con to make a big thing at Comic-Con, give everybody a big moment. They might be saving it. Maybe it's going to be on the home video release and they're going to wait till like a week or two before and then launch that. And I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It would have been interesting enough. But the question here then, guys, is, what about you? I know a lot of you guys were very, very excited at first when you heard Avengers re-release, this, that, new scenes, blah, blah. But is your enthusiasm still there? Now that we're getting a clear picture of what's going to be in there, maybe you are still excited about it. Maybe you were planning on seeing it again anyway. Because Rob, I still think there are a lot of people who are still just planning on its own to see Avengers Endgame again before it leaves theaters. Why not? Jump down in the comment section below and let me know what you guys think about all that. All right. With that down, let's go on to our final main topic today. And our final main topic today gets sent in to us from Kyle Starr, who writes, so, I was looking up show times for the Endgame quote-unquote re-release, and not one theater in an hour of me is even showing the movie this Friday. With the movie not coming back to all theaters, isn't it pointless to even show an end credit scene and deleted scenes? I feel like it's a bad idea to have a chance of putting a sour taste in the fans' mouths if the credits/deleted scenes stink and fans spend more money to see it again, especially when it's only showing in some theaters. What do you think? All right, thanks a lot for writing that in, Kyle. And you know, Rob, I have felt for a little while something like what Kyle's kind of suggesting here, that this whole thing about the re-release, which we've said a million times, it's not a re-release, folks. Maybe it's expanding. First of all, I've been hearing from a ton of people, Rob, say I just been assuming they would expand how many theaters. Because right now it's under 1,000 theaters. I figured they'd expand it back up to maybe 1,400 theaters. But I've been hearing from a lot of people like Kyle saying, just checked with my theater and they're not putting it back on any screen. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if they're doing an expanded release or not. But I always felt when they first mentioned this, I felt like there might be a little bit of a risk here that they could be taking a chance that this could actually backfire on them a little bit. And here's what I mean by that. Could there be a possibility, number one, it's not a question of if, it's a question of how many. As we mentioned in the last topic, there are people, Rob, who are going to be going to this weekend still expecting that it's going to be a slightly altered version of the movie. It's still out. All you have to do is jump on social media and see there are still people out there, because of the way the information was disseminated originally, who are going under the pretext that they think they're going to see extra scenes in the movie. They're not. That's going to bother some people. Now, granted, Disney never said they were putting in or changing the movie. They were always very clear, but the way it's got reported, it makes it sound like a new extended version of the movie. There are going to be some people that get upset about that.
Yeah.
Number two, I've heard from not a lot of people, let me admit that right up front, not a lot of people, but there are a few people I've heard from who expressed that they were a little bit upset. The fact and these mostly people who've seen the movie 5-6 times in theaters, and it's like, why? I went 5 or 6 times. Why didn't you show it to me? Why are you making me go back again when it's still in its original theatrical release if I want to see that stuff? Like, why am I being punished? I had one guy ask, why am I being punished for supporting your movie early? Why didn't you show it to us then? Why are you only putting that out now? And then the third thing which got brought up in this message is, I think there were a lot of people who were assuming that this movie would be back on 3,000 screens, and they're not. But we just heard from somebody that they're not going to even have a chance to go see this new bonus footage, even though they want to. And they're not going to chance. So they're also left going, well, I paid and went to go see the movie a couple times already when it was playing here. So now not only are you making me go to see it again if I want to, you're not even giving me a chance to go back and see. So only a few people, lots of people will, but only a certain number of people are going to get even the opportunity. Rob, we are living in a day and age in our fandom culture that everybody is just looking for an excuse to feel outraged, right? Even for the things we love the most, people are just dying to be outraged. We all are. I'm not pointing my finger at anybody. We all are. That's what we as film fans do. It's a bad trait that we have, and it's a bad habit that we have, but we do it. Do you think at the end of the day, Rob, that this is going to be, this whole re-release thing, is this going to be something that pays off, or do you think maybe it has potential of doing more harm than good? What do you think?
Look, to me, it's just a shameless. They're going for the title, John. They want to surpass Avatar. That's what they're trying to do. I think this is sort of a half-assed way to do it. I think they should have just said it. Like, hey, we want to beat Avatar. Help us out. Go see the movie again. Start an ad campaign. But they're making a promise that was already ambiguous at first. They didn't come out and send out a press release. Here's what you're going to definitively get. They allowed a lot of sites to say, ooh, there's going to be a new version of the movie coming out, which there's not. They're just adding things at the end. And those things, it's basically a commercial now for the home video release.
Right.
I mean, call it what it is. And I'm a little disappointed because usually Marvel's so good on their showmanship. This seems to be something they threw together at the last minute as some kind of a Hail Mary to surpass Avatar and get the #1 box office hit of all time, at least on paper, from initial glance. And I just think that they look, I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know I love Kevin Feige. You know I love everything they do. But this seemed a little beneath them. And maybe it wasn't them so much as it was Disney, like saying, we got to do something. We got to make this. It just seems it's not up to par.
Yeah, and I said last week, look, I don't have a problem with it. I don't. But I said, you got to admit, it at least feels like a little sketchy. Just a little bit sketchy. And here's the other funny thing too, Rob, that's really kind of been itching on my brain is that, okay, let's say Disney really wanted to push to try to get it to beat Avatar. Avatar, which is their movie now. And they're just going to re-release Avatar before Avatar 2 comes out so they can do the thing, once again, #1 film of all time. Come out and see. They're going to do that, play that game anyway. And then probably 3 years later, go back and visit the greatest accomplishment in comic book movie history with Endgame, the super duper re-release. And they're just going to play this game of hopscotch with themselves anyway long term. Here's what I think. If they were going to do this, we're going to add something to the movie, then do it right. Why not go, you know what, guys? Starting July 3rd, see Endgame again in a totally new way. The movie is now 10 minutes longer with 2 additional extra scenes. We're going to show you the gag reel. For those of you who want to come and support the movie, we're going to show you the gag reel. We're going to show you 3 deleted scenes post-credits as opposed to 6. And then you put Luis in the promotional trailer for this new re-release. You are then giving your fans a legitimate reason to come back to the theater and watch it again if they weren't already planning on it anyway. You're giving them a legitimate reason to come back and see it. You're going to get everybody excited again, and you are going to make a buttload of new money. They chose instead... I think your observation is the best one I've heard so far, Rob, which is this little re-release isn't really about trying to get the record from Avatar. This re-release is about promoting the material we're going to get on the home video release. Yeah. And I think that's I hadn't even considered that, but I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a brilliant observation. So... I don't know. What do you guys think about this? So now that we're getting a clear picture of what this is all about, do you think there's do you still think this was a good idea by Disney? Or do you think maybe, hey, a company that usually does everything so right, this is one of those missteps? Do you think maybe this has more potential for backlash? Do you think whatever? It doesn't matter either way. Jump down in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down and out of the way, this is normally the part of the show where we do our movie news feed presented by Fact Checker Jonathan. However, Fact Checker Jonathan right now is on vacation with his family. He'll be back again next week, so don't you worry about that. The nerve of this guy. What does he think I pay him for? Yeah, taking a long overdue vacation with him and his great family. So we're going to go directly into taking your live questions, guys. You guys have been firing in a bunch of live questions, so let's not waste any time and get right to it. The first live question today comes to us from Gershon Monroy, who writes, "Hey, John and Rob, love the show. Thank you so much. Did you hear that they're bringing breakdancing as a competition for the 2024 Summer Games? This is your opportunity to add a gold medal to your collection." Well, first of all, let's be clear. I would never enter such a thing because it wouldn't be fair to everybody else, right? It's like having the Olympic Games when the professional NBA players are allowed to play for Team USA. It's not fair to everybody else.
John Campea.
That's right. Pisces, my friend. My breakdancing name was Pisces.
Right. Sorry.
So it just wouldn't be fair to. I know. I didn't hear about this. Is breakdancing even still a thing? Is breakdancing still a thing? I don't know.
It's coming back, dude. It's always a thing.
I don't know if Gershon's just pulling my leg here or something like that, but no, I did not hear such a thing. That's fascinating if it is. All right, Jack Humphrey writes, do you guys like Batman Mask of the Phantasm? Oh, I do. It's like one of the first, I remember it was at the time, because it was a theatrically released film, and it's like one of the first things like that I had ever seen. And yes, I liked it. Rob, what about you?
Loved it, and Shirley Walker's score for it is wonderful. And by the way, I own the Blu-ray, and you should too.
Ooh, you know what? I haven't watched that again for a while. I should probably watch that again. All right. Matsif Jada writes, show cut before my super chat. Rob, do you know Phantom? Oh, okay. So yeah. So yesterday, oh, by the way, I should mention this. Yeah, we had to cut yesterday's show a little bit short because we were having some technical glitches when we were trying to bring up people's super chats. So we cut it short. Okay. Hear me out. So you guys might notice that we didn't have a companion video yesterday. Here's what happened. So in yesterday's John Campea show, when I fire up the system here to do the show, right? When I fire up the system to do the show, what happens here is that when I fire all the systems up, the cameras will, everything turns on in the state that it was in when it got shut down. So there's a number of things I can just turn on and everything's ready to go. One of those things is my mic is already set to on. On yesterday's John Campea show, we started the show and like for the first minute to 2 minutes, my mic was muted. And I realized about a minute and a half, 2 minutes into the show, I was like, my mic is muted. And I looked, yep, my mic's muted. I had to unmute it. And I have no idea why. I don't even ever look at it because the system starts up with everything in its proper place. But for some reason, my mic was muted. So you guys who watched the show yesterday, you recognize that the first minute or so, my mic wasn't on. Anyway, later in the afternoon, I go to do the companion video. I get it all set up. I record the companion video. I then upload it to private, which is what I always upload first. Double check it on YouTube. And I'm like, why is there no audio? I don't know why there's not any audio. Is it on mute? No, YouTube's not on mute. And then I realized it did it again. When I fired up the system, my mic was muted and I never bothered to check it. So I did the companion video yesterday, except it had no audio. So I have to do the companion video over again today. And then I didn't have time yesterday to redo it because I was getting together with Kyle Newman and Chris Gore and Christian Harloff. The four of us had dinner last night and didn't have a chance to redo it. So I got to do it all again today. Anyway, all of that was to simply point out that Madsif, the very first question of the companion video was from Madsif. So you know what, Rob, since you're here, instead of me having to do it in the companion video later, here's what Madsif wrote.
Okay.
In my country, we didn't have Superman or Batman comics. Instead, I had the Phantom. Rob, you know it? 70s to 90s in the golden era. It has great mythology. Rob, what do you think about the Phantom?
The Phantom, like the Phantom that Billy Zane played in the movie?
Or the comic strip itself?
I mean, I like the character, the Phantom, but the Phantom goes all the way back to the golden age of serials and comics.
Days
back
of
to the 30s,
yore.
the days of yore. I mean, I like the Phantom. He's an adventurer. He kind of is a contemporary of I guess, The Shadow, and it would take place at the same time Indiana Jones lived, too. I mean, I like the Phantom. I've always kind of liked the Phantom. But I didn't, I do actually have 80s and 90s versions of the Phantom in comic book form. But I like the Phantom. I don't, it's not one of my favorites, but I did kind of like the movie, if you're talking about the same Phantom.
Right. Well, I think the character is the same. I think the character is the
same.
Yeah,
I mean, I actually quite like the Billy Zane Phantom, to be honest. Even the purple outfit.
All right. So let's move on here. But before we move on, some of you are probably asking, and yes, it's true. I had dinner with Kyle and Chris and Christian Harloff yesterday. And yes, the first thing I did when we all sat down for dinner, I said, this is a great night. Hey, you know what we should do after we're done here? We should go to Galaxy's Edge. Just rubbing into Christian a little bit. He goes, you're a funny son of a bitch, aren't you? Which was great. Anyway. Okay, let's move on. You know I got to rub it into him anytime I can. Let's move on here. Next one up comes to us from Suthius, who writes, hey guys, just watched the trailer for The Current War, Battle for Mainstream Electricity. It looks like a pretty cool movie. Count me in, can't wait. Here's the funny thing, Suthius. That trailer came out like 2.5 years ago. That trailer came out like 2.5 years ago. And then what happened was it got caught in all the Weinstein drama because it was a Weinstein Company movie. And then, of course, everything with Harvey Weinstein hit the fan. What was going to happen with the Current War, which Michael Shannon, Benedict Cumberbatch, Nicholas Hoult, an incredible...
And Tom Holland.
And Tom Holland, an incredible looking cast, an incredible looking movie that got put in purgatory. And then finally, just about a month ago, the news came out. It got picked up by a new distributor and it comes out later this year. Cannot wait to watch it. I think it looks great, but I've been looking forward to it for years.
It looks great.
It does
It
look
looks
great.
so good. Can't wait either.
All right, Anthony R. writes, my mom doesn't do sci-fi, however, she loves Frequency. It counts as a sci-fi film. Of course it does. I don't see why not. She argued against it and told me to agree with her or no meatloaf. Well, here's the thing, Anthony. Some people say you should never argue with your lady, and that's true. But I would say a universal truth that trumps that is do not argue with your mom. There's no winning that. You cannot win that argument, nor should you win that argument. And you look like an ass if you even try. Your mom can say 1 + 1 = 3, and you just got to nod your head and say, yes, mama, and just roll with it. Because there's no winning that argument.
Dude, your mother is prejudiced against an entire genre? I mean, Frequency is a lovely science fiction film. It absolutely is science fiction. But, you could show her, what, is she not like E.T. either? I would say ask your mom why she got to be prejudiced against a whole genre of literature and try and find some. When I was a kid, I showed my mother the movie Silent Running. She was kind of adamantly against sci-fi, but she took me to sci-fi movies. She wasn't into them. Silent Running is a movie about all the forests in the world are packed onto these spaceships for safekeeping and sent out into the solar system, and she cried. The movie made her cry.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now to disregard everything that Robert Meyer Burnett said. Do not challenge your mother. Do not challenge your mother. Introduce her to some things like Rob did. Introduce her to some things.
Prejudice against an entire genre.
Then let her have it. Then that's your mama. You do not challenge mama.
She raised you to love sci-fi.
I mean, look, I wish Rob was right.
Tell her it's a teachable moment.
Don't challenge your mom. Bad move. All right. Suthius writes, you're right, Mr. C. Much like Nebula, Red Skull pronounces the nos in Thanos like nos, like in Carr. But he also pronounces the than kind of like stain, not stan. He is burdened with knowledge after all sakes. It's true. In Infinity War, he says Thanos unlike anybody else. Thanos. Son of whoever he said his parents' name were.
That's because he's a German. He was a German. The guy was a former Nazi. Hydra. He just has an accent. He's trying to speak English.
He said everybody else's name's right. And Thanos, son of what? I don't know. I thought it was interesting. That's all. I think you make a very good observation, Suthius. Maybe he's just burdened with knowledge.
By the way, he doesn't have a nose. Maybe it's a nasal issue.
That's true. That's true. Maybe it is a nasal passage issue. All right, T'Challa writes, do you think we will get any news on Doctor Strange 2 or Black Panther 2 at D23 or San Diego Comic-Con? Or likely be only Black Widow, Eternals, Tai-Chi. Actually, it's Shang-Chi. Not Tai. Disney introduces you to the world of Tai-Chi. No, I do not believe they're going to do that at all. I think so. Rob, between D23 and Comic-Con, because now we know they're doing Hall H at Comic-Con, I think they're going to put their heavier emphasis on what is coming, Black Panther, Eternals, Shang-Chi, but between D23 and that, I gotta believe they're going to talk, because we know Doctor Strange 2 is happening, we know Black Panther 2 is happening. Do you see any way that they don't talk about this at least a little bit?
No, they're going to talk about it. I think Marvel's going to they're going to own all of Comic-Con. Tom Hiddleston's going to come out. They're going to announce the Loki series. They'll probably show footage. They're going to show Black Widow footage. They're going to talk. They're going to give us the Shang-Chi cast. They're going to bring him out on stage. It's going to be a Marvel fest. They're going to own Comic-Con. They're going to reign over Comic-Con, and I can't wait. That's what I think.
It's going to be great. All right, Anthony R. writes, we all know John's stand on DC animation, DC and Marvel animation. It's all crap. Anyway, but what say you, Rob? You must admit, as a comic person, that DC animation is pretty awesome, right? Rob?
I like it. I do. I think the animation is one step above television animation, so it's not... The animation isn't great, but I've quite enjoyed. I really like the Wonder Woman animated film that came out. I like the Flashpoint Paradox movie that came out. I like the adaptation, the two-part adaptation of The Dark Knight. There's been a lot of the DC animated films that I've quite enjoyed. And I do, believe it or not, I want to get that like 34-disc set of all of the animated movies just to have it. I don't have that now, so if you want to send me a gift, you can pitch in and give it to me. But
Yeah.
I have liked a lot of their animated films. I mean, I don't buy them all. I even want to see, what is it, The Fatal Five, the recent one they put out. And I kind of want to see Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I have zero interest in that. Yeah, I think most DC and Marvel's animated stuff is garbage, with a few exceptions. You mentioned one or two of them. I really do like the Marvel's Doctor Strange animated thing. I thought that was actually pretty good. The Dark Knight Returns, obviously, is one of them. Under the Red Hood is one that I'll go to once we talked about the Phantom, but that's like 4 or 5% of the stuff that's out there. I tried. Everybody loves Young Justice, so I wanted to like it so I could be cool like everybody else, but I tried watching Young Justice. I thought it was drivel. I just don't like any of the Marvel or DC stuff. Anime. I love Marvel and DC.
And the Judas contract, too. I mean, it's not the TV show, but I bought that, and I like that.
But hey, there are some diamonds in the rough.
It's not the comic. I say it's TV show. It's not the comic.
All right, next up, we go to Zach Bartran, who writes, Annabelle Comes Home is being released in IMAX. Is this a first for the Conjuring universe? Ooh, I did not know that, and I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that it is, but I don't know. Rob, do you know that?
No, but I would imagine it probably is.
Yeah.
I don't think the Conjuring movies have come out in IMAX before.
So can you say that
pretty
again?
neat, though. I don't think they've come out in IMAX, but it's pretty neat that I love IMAX. I love going into an IMAX theater and to see a horror movie. There needs to be more IMAX horror movies.
Yeah, that is something you don't see a lot of, is it? Okay, next up, CJ Dunn writes, Hey, you guys, I love the old Steven Seagal films so much that it's hard to kill. I love the 3-word Steven Seagal movies. I still find myself drinking the Seagal juice from time to time. Do you know how many memes I had sent to me yesterday of drinking the Seagal juice?
Some great graphics, too.
Some memes, graphics, so many. So for those of you who don't know, of course, my friend Erin Cummings was on the show with us yesterday. And she said, I'm drinking the Seagal juice. Wait a minute, that didn't sound right. And of course that blew up. By the way, Rob and I loved having Erin on here yesterday. Yeah. And just so you know, Erin is going to be back on the show tomorrow. Erin's going to come in and join me and Robert for tomorrow's episode of the John Campea Show as well. Hopefully Seagal juice free, but she will be back on again tomorrow. And what was there not to like? Look, the Seagal movies are what they were. They were empty calorie, just fun watching Steven Seagal break people's bones movies that none of us can remember the storyline for any of them other than his Die Hard movie on a naval vessel. Other than that, but they were fun, right? Like, weren't they at least fun for the era that they were out?
I thought so. I even liked, I was thinking about Above the Law.
Right.
You're not above mine. I mean, come on. What's not to love?
All right, next up, I'm Upset writes, Better actor, T.I., 50 Cent, Common, Tyrese, Tupac. To me, it's easy. It's Common.
Yeah.
Common is actually some of those guys are not bad for rappers turned musicians. Some of them are not bad for rappers turned musicians. Common, to me, is actually legit not a bad actor. I actually like seeing him and stuff. What do you think, Rob?
I agree. And I really like Common as a presence. He was great in John Wick 2.
Oh, I loved him in John Wick 2.
Yeah, I like Common a lot.
And I liked him in Wanted, too. I liked him a lot in Wanted. Stubble McShave writes, NBC Universal pulling The Office from Netflix. Thoughts? Yeah, well, this is something we've known for a long time. Universal's making their own streaming service. Of course, they're going to take their most prized crown jewel possession, which is the number one most watched thing on Netflix, which is The Office, and they're going to put it on their own streaming service. This is kind of like saying, hey, Marvel's putting the Avengers on Disney Plus. Of course they are. It's their most valuable prize thing. It's a good move. It's something that they need to do, and it's going to give their new streaming service a big kickstart. Rodrigo Ortiz writes, I like Pearl Harbor too, Rob. John, give that man a raise now. # Justice for Han and Pearl Harbor. I keep forgetting you like that movie, don't you?
It's a guilty pleasure. World War II planes, the Doolittle raid. It's you've got Kate Beckinsale.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's always a good thing.
You got some cool... You got bomb cam. And the camera follows the bomb down into the ship.
Was that a that wasn't a...
Michael Bay movie.
It was a Michael Bay movie. There we go.
Yes, it was. It's Michael Bay going, I can do Titanic.
All right. Next one up, Chris Feldman writes, if I can do Titanic. If a 1970s TV show hasn't come out on home media yet, is it a lost cause by now? The 1960s Batman took forever, so I'm still hoping for BJ and the Bear.
I loved BJ and the Bear. I love that show.
Was that even? For some reason, I had in my mind that was a movie. Was that actually?
No, it was a series.
BJ and the Bear.
Greg Evigan, I think, was BJ, and I loved it. I mean, a truck driver in a cool truck that's like red and white, and his monkey.
Right, and the monkey. I got to think this, Chris. As more and more of these streaming services pop up, there's going to be a gold rush for content, whatever that content is. And if you're a studio and say, well, I could drop another $7 million to make a season of something, or I can probably drop $100,000 and go get 7 episodes of a season of a series that ran in the 1960s. I got to believe as more and more streaming services come out that are looking for exclusive content, I think we're going to see over the next few years a lot of these shows get picked up and say, only here can you watch BJ and the Bear or Alice or whatever. Oh, I am Automan. That's it. I was trying. What was the name of the show?
Automan.
Automan. I couldn't remember the name of it, but I remember the last tagline of the
Automan and Manimal.
Manimal.
Manimal and Automan.
Somebody's going to be looking for this stuff, so I think there's probably still hope for all that. All right. Easy Target writes, imagine the AMC HR department. Please don't get me going on the AMC HR department. I hate them so much. Eating ketchup on eggs as the red-tainted yolk slowly drips down their faces. They shout, all movies are subjective. Yep, murders. If you're trying to trigger murderous rage, Easy Target, that's a good way to do it. That's an absolutely good way to do it. All right, Jay Bling writes, whose transition is weirder? The Russo brothers from directing You, Me, and Dupree to the MCU's finest, or Craig Mazin from writing scary movie sequels and the Hangover sequels to Chernobyl? I got to go the Chernobyl one. I mean, because remember, it's not like You, Me, and Dupree was the only thing the Russos were doing. They were making some good television too. Some fun, funny stuff. Nothing like an MCU film, but that was interesting. The resume of Craig Mazin. As you're reading down the list of stuff, the list of crap he has done before, to then all of a sudden come out and be the guy to have done Chernobyl is a remarkable turnaround, like almost unbelievable. So I'd give it to that one by a landslide. What about you, Rob?
Well, I would say the thing about Craig, he went to Princeton, and he's a really, I knew him a little bit. I worked with him a couple of places. I worked with him at an ad agency, and then we worked on a movie called The Specials together that James Gunn wrote. He's a really, really smart guy, and he's been very involved. He's a writer in Hollywood, and I think, he was just never given a chance. People in Hollywood, you get pigeonholed so quickly, and he got pigeonholed as a comedy guy. And I think that I don't know how he made that transition. I'd love to find out more about how Chernobyl got made. But I think it is probably for people that, I knew him as a very smart man, and I just don't know how he got the HBO to give him this chance.
Right.
How did he convince? It's not like you wanted to go and do something comedic and make it blackly comedic, like make a Hangover-esque thing. He's like, no, I want to do a historical epic about Chernobyl. Who said yes to that? What did he say? I want some of that special sauce that he took into that room with him when he had to pitch that. And HBO's like, yeah, it sounds really good, Craig. But I would say it is Craig. But I want to know how he did it.
Yeah, because that's remarkable. All right, next one up. Let's see. Luke1234 writes, was disappointed that Mark Hamill didn't do a psycho Chucky laugh. I thought that was one of the reasons they cast him, because of his work as the Joker. No. Any voice actor can go in and just do a maniacal laugh.
Yeah.
You don't cast a guy just because, hey, we once heard that guy do a maniacal laugh. They got Mark Hamill because he's a good performer and he could do the rest of it. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about why we didn't get that laugh, because there's a lot of people who haven't seen this movie yet. I will say, though, the maniacal, once you start seeing the movie, you'll see what I mean. It wouldn't make sense in this movie. That's all I'll say, because I don't want to spoil anything, but them doing that wouldn't have made any sense at all for the movie, for what it is. So, no, it's totally good, Luke. It's totally good. All right, Suthius writes, can I just say how awesome it is that you're now at a place in your personal career that you're able to have Mr. Burnett on every day? I don't have Robin here every day. I haven't been here a lot of days, though. This duo must live on. Yeah, so Rob is in here as much as he can. There are again, he works on a lot of stuff. He's got movies he's working on, things like that, so he can't be here. Plus, Fridays we give everybody else off as well. But I'll tell you what, I love doing shows with Robert Meyer Burnett. I've done shows with a lot of people. You can't, even really good, smart people. I mean, sometimes you just don't have a good on-camera chemistry with somebody. And I just find Rob and I play off each other so well. I love hearing his thoughts on things. I think he's funny, he's insightful, he's experienced, and he has different opinions than me on a lot of different things, which is always great to have.
But we can have differing opinions and still be respectful and talk without wanting to throttle each other across our screens.
Yes.
And I think that's what makes the show good.
Yeah. And that's why I think the chemistry. So I am very lucky. I count myself very lucky that I get to have Rob here on all the days that he's able to be here. And I count all of us, the audience as well, lucky that we get to have Rob here.
It's not like those Alien versus Predator movies. Whoever wins, we lose. With you and I, everybody wins.
Whoever wins, we lose. I can't even believe you remember that saying. All right, let's move on here. Willow Yang writes, what's the story behind Aaron seeing you shirtless? Hashtag Seagal juice. Okay, so... yes. Erin did mention she has seen me shirtless, and I have seen her shirtless. And both of them are completely innocent. Shirtless pool party. That is just simply that simple for me.
Sure. For
her, she did a movie of mine. And there was in that movie a semi-nude scene. It was part of a gag. It was part of a joke. So she was partially nude, a little bit in it, but that's where I saw her without a shirt. But that's the extent of it. Nothing else, scandalous or anything else beyond that. Despite how badly Aaron yesterday tried to make it sound like there was something scandalous, there was anything scandalous about it past that. She is just, I can't say enough about how much I adore Aaron Cummings. Like, we have just been really close from we just hit it off. The first day we met at Comic-Con like 10 years ago, we just hit it off, and we've been really good buddies ever since.
She's a firecracker.
She's a firecracker. She's great.
I love her too, and I've only met her once.
Yeah, and you get to see her again tomorrow. She'll be back on the show tomorrow. But I swear to God, there is nothing more salacious beyond that. That's the extent of it. A pool party in a movie scene, that's it. And you can all see Aaron naked. True story. So she had already done Bitch Slap and a bunch of TV, and she agreed to be in my movie, which is great. And she read the script, and there was one script that kind of called for nudity because there was a sex scene. She said, look, just so you know, John, the one thing I don't do is I don't do nudity. I don't do nudity, just so you know. I'm like, cool. We'll have the blankets in a certain way, and you can still be wearing a bra or something like that, right? So of course, we accommodated for Aaron Cummings. 6 months later, she gets the spot in Spartacus as Spartacus's wife. And she's like, nude scene? No problem. And she's got tons of news. Oh, you'll do it for Spartacus, not for me. And she goes, yeah, I'll do it for Spartacus and not for you. So it's like, that was the extent of our conversation on that. All right, let's move on here. Next one comes to us from Doshi, who writes, saw Child's Play. I loved it. 4 out of 5 stars. Yeah, I don't give scores to anything. I might give it a 2 out of 5, but it certainly has some hilarious moments. You haven't seen it yet, Rob, have you?
No.
Some really funny parts. I just unfortunately think everything else about the movie is pretty bad, but there is some really good laughs. And I'm not even just 1 or 2. There is a number of really good laughs in the film.
Is there good gore?
There's a lot of gore. Yeah.
Okay, good.
There's also some pretty interesting gore in it as well. That I don't like it that much, but I can totally see why other people really would. So I'm glad you enjoyed it, Toshi. Murray Reich writes, hey, Rob, that Schmodown was really something interesting. I see you really loved being there and with Finstock. Ha ha. Anything you want to add?
Look, man, Finstock, I burned his face. That guy had it coming. And, everything that he does, Dagnino is a piece of work, that guy. And anything I can do to put him 6 feet under, I will do it. I can't wait to take him on again. It might have been the lowest scoring Schmodown match in history, but guess who won by a TKO? This guy. Thank you very much.
Next up, Dimsum05 writes, don't agree on the 200+ million for Nolan. Your chart even showed diminishing returns. No, it did not. The movie over movie. Marketing is going to have a hell of a job ahead. No, I disagree with you completely, Dimsum, because you're drawing a false comparison. It's not like the 3 movies, because the last 3 movies not called Batman they had were Inception, what was
Interstellar,
and then Dunkirk. It's not like it was Interstellar Part 1, Interstellar Part 2, and Interstellar Part 3. or Inception Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, which at that point, yeah, you can see if there's a growing interest in that particular franchise or a diminishing one. To say that there's a diminishing returns on Christopher Nolan films, Dunkirk is a movie that had no business making more than $200 million. That is it's the subject matter. It's not a star-centric film. It's not a story-centric film. It's not a character-centric film.
It's an art film.
It is an art film. It's an art film that when a lot of us, when they were first talking about the trailers coming out, a lot of people like, it's not going to make any money. But because it's Christopher Nolan, a movie that had no business making any more than $200 million, ends up making over $500 million because it's him. You take Inception with this wild sci-fi and, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio and all these big stars and it's twisty from that is a movie that by definition had a higher roof and potential for making money. That had a wider appeal, and so it made more money. You go to something like Interstellar, which looked deep and more philosophical, but still a sci-fi element, all that kind of stuff, made a ton of money, but obviously not as much as Inception. It didn't have the same margin. And then you get to a movie like Dunkirk. Trying to compare, I believe, dim sum, a movie like Inception and the way that movie looks and who it's appealing to a movie like Dunkirk and saying, oh, well, Dunkirk made less than that one, so you have diminishing returns for Christopher Nolan. No, if anything, it screams at us that if Christopher Nolan makes this stuff that maybe other filmmakers make and it won't make the money, he makes the movie, it'll make money. That's the equivalency. It's not a diminishing returns thing. It's not like it's an equal playing field. It wasn't Inception Part 1, 2, and 3. It was 3 radically different films that had different appeal levels and had different ceilings. And Christopher Nolan, I think, making the films he did, brought in more than if anybody else had tried them. So no, I don't believe there's a diminishing return there whatsoever. You put this in his hands, and clearly they believe this must be a movie that isn't a Dunkirk that will have limited appeal. They believe this is a movie that will have broad appeal. And if Christopher Nolan's asking for $225 million on that, you give it to him, because all he's done is make the studio money. Every time he makes a movie, makes the studio money. Here you go. So if he's asked for $225 million, you don't blink. I don't think you blink for a second. You just go, yes, sir, Christopher, here you go. So I don't know, Rob, what do you think about that?
I'm with you 100%. I mean, it's also the budget based on the return as well. And his returns based on his budgets are pretty damn solid.
Yeah.
And I think that his work speaks for itself.
Yeah, so I'm like, I totally see what you're saying, Dim Sum. I got to disagree with you on it, though. I just got to disagree with you, buddy. All right, JB Bonifacio writes, why do you think IP like Endgame and John Wick 3 and Aladdin have succeeded where everyone else has underperformed this year? Well, first of all, not everyone else has underperformed. There are films that have done quite well for themselves, but they're not big blockbusters, and some have underperformed. I think you start with things like this. John Wick was fantastic. Endgame was fantastic. Aladdin was completely delightful and based on completely popular, huge, generations-loving thing based on the original anime thing as well. Whereas there are other films, not so good, or not as good. Let's just say that. They either started behind the 8 ball because of bad films before it, or because the movies, it just didn't have that broad of appeal, compounded by the fact that the movies just weren't that well received. And so I think you just kind of said it right there. Endgame, John Wick, Aladdin, all delightful, fun films to watch. Other ones, maybe not so much. Rob, if you had to pull out just like a notion as to why certain films have worked and certain films haven't this year, what comes to mind for you?
Well, I think you just said it. I mean, I think the reason movies don't catch on is because, especially franchise properties, look, you read about the behind-the-scenes shenanigans on Men in Black International. And the director's vision was compromised by a producer that he was at war with. That alone affects the product. The director's cut was not even the cut that they went with. And who knows what could have been. You can't do that. And Dark Phoenix was a vision that was compromised from the get-go as well. They were chasing reshoots, trying to change the movie around, and it's not the kind of vision. Whereas, you know what? They hired Guy Ritchie to make. What's interesting to me about Aladdin is everyone was poo-pooing the film. It doesn't look good. When are we going to see the genie as Will Smith?
And I love Guy Ritchie, and even I thought that was an odd pairing. Guy Ritchie,
and you know
for Aladdin.
what? I mean, that was a movie that turned out to. I remember you and I sitting there at CinemaCon. I was watching this at CinemaCon, going, "Well, this looks really good.
Yeah, this looks
you know,
fun.
and I'm like, I'm all I can tell you is when I'm convinced, I'm convinced, and it was apparent to me just from that first clip that okay, they nailed this. This is going to work. And $800 million later, it certainly worked.
Yeah, damn right it worked. All right, next one up. Dim Sum writes, Hollywood has only one agenda, make money. It's true.
Yep.
Here's the thing that I don't understand, though, Rob. Some people say that like an insult sometimes.
Right.
No, Hollywood's only in it to make money. You know what? Nobody complains that Ford is only in it to make money.
Right.
Of course they are. They're a company, they're a business, they're trying to make and sell cars. Their goal is to make money. Nobody complains that J.C. Penney's exclusive only one agenda is to make money. Of course that's their only agenda. They have some other side things as well, but their main driving agenda is to make money. Haagen-Dazs, they have one main objective. They probably have several other smaller objectives, but their one main objective is to make money. We all have no problem acknowledging that every form of business in the world is about making money, and that's not a bad thing. But if you really want to cast some shade at a movie theater, say, they just did it for the money. Of course they did.
Well,
Why do you think Toyota made the Prius? They made it to make money. Why do you think Disney put out Avengers Endgame? They put out Avengers Endgame to make money.
John, you're forgetting something.
I forget a lot.
You're
What am I
forgetting that Disney actually purchased Star Wars because they wanted to make all fanboys across the world happy and give them Star Wars that they would just love and cherish and for the rest of their days feel really great about everything that they're doing with Star Wars. And they had no interest at all in turning a profit off that $4 billion investment.
That $4 billion investment.
That's not why they purchased Star Wars, John. They purchased it for the love of the franchise.
Now, here's the thing, though. It's not it is their main driving agenda, for sure. Just
Yes.
like every business. But there's others as well. They have artistic pride. They'd love to win awards.
Mm-hmm.
They do want to make something that endures, just like people who design cars for Fords or pants for J.C. Penney or ice creams for Haagen-Dazs. Yeah, they want to make something that has meaning and impact and all that kind of
That's
stuff.
true.
But first and foremost is get those dollar bills, because that's work. You go to work in the morning because your main agenda for going to work is to make money. Of course it is. That's the main thing. It's not the only thing, but it's the main thing.
But also it should be remembered, I think the best movies, I have never done a study on this, but the correlation is that I think the best movies are also the biggest money makers. There's probably a correlation there. I don't think a lot of really bad movies, despite what people say, make a lot of money. Sometimes that might be the case, but for the most part, and Disney wants to make the best movies they can make because that's what makes the most money. I think it's important to point out.
I've said this before, Rob. I'll say it again because it goes off right what you were just saying. The better you can make a bad movie that makes money. We've seen it, Transformers, whatever. But the underlying principle is this: the better your movie is, the more money it'll make. That doesn't mean it's going to automatically be a blockbuster. But do you think Moonlight, which won Best Picture at the Academy Awards, didn't make much money? Do you think it would have made as much as it did if it was a bad movie? No.
Nope.
Because it was Best Picture of the Year, because it was so good, it made more money than it would have. That's the thing. Quality, so greed motivates studios to make their movies as good as they can, because maybe it'll make $50 million, but if we make it really good, it might make $57 million. Ooh, $7 million extra dollars. So greed, in the words of Richard Gecko, is good.
Gordon Gecko.
I was about to correct myself on that. Gordon Gecko, greed is good.
Greed works.
Greed works. And in the movie industry, greed works in the audience's favor because it motivates studios to do as good as they can. Well, then how come we still get bad movies? Because making good movies is hard.
It is hard.
It's really, really hard. You know, I was like I said, Rob, last night I had dinner with our friend Kyle Newman, who is a professional filmmaker, and we were just talking about, like, man, it's tough. I mean, we were talking about movies we didn't like this year, but Kyle just went off on, I feel so bad for these guys. I won't say which movie we were talking about, but it's like, I feel bad for these guys because I know they put their heart and soul and wanted so badly. They had dreams and visions for it, and it didn't work. but they tried, and a lot of people forget that. Anyway, we've spent way too much time on this topic. We got to keep moving. Got lots of other stuff to get to. T-Ness writes, how does Walter Hamada get so much credit for Aquaman and Shazam? Both movies were in production before he was hired. Isn't his true test the Joker? Well, here's the thing, T-Ness, and we've said this a number of times on this show. Walter Hamada came in while those movies are still being made. All right, while those movies are still being made is when he stepped in. And at that point, what a lot of studio people will do is they can start putting their own thumbprints on him. And James Wan has told stories about him sitting down with Walter Hamada and the meetings they had and some direction he got and stuff like that. So the influence has been there. For me, the real thing about the credit that we give Walter Hamada, because remember, I still think the real litmus test of the impact Walter Hamada is having on everything isn't for another 1 or 2 years, the real one. But from what we've seen, we are already starting to get a picture of what his overall vision is. We're starting to get a picture of what their strategy is going to be, the little adjustments he had to make to the different movies to fit in with that strategy. It all seems to be good. It's not that Walter Hamada should get all the credit for the success of Aquaman and Shazam, not at all. But what we do credit him for is that we're starting to see the manifestation of what the new vision for DC is. And that vision seems to be working. And I think we give him props and credit on that level. But the real test is going to come a year or two from now as a couple of more movies under his watch come out and all that kind of stuff. And it's not about the individual films, it's about is the overall strategy seem to be working. And right now it seems to be. Rob, how would you address that?
No, I agree. And you know, when a studio head comes in, just because something is in production already doesn't mean he doesn't have some kind of an influence, or she doesn't have some kind of an influence, because remember, the film has to get finished, it has to get marketed, they have to test, screen it, they look at it, things can be changed, there can be reshoots done, who knows? But when somebody takes over the studio, they're overseeing things that are in production as well as things that haven't been produced yet. So he definitely had an impact.
All right, let's move on here. Der Wunderbar writes, dim sum and make good movies. Good movies mean more money. That's exactly the point we were making, Der Wunderbar, absolutely. Wunderbar follows up with My Left Foot. Oh, I love that movie, Daniel Day-Lewis. 1989 with Daniel Day-Lewis is such a strong movie that really touches you deeply. Absolutely recommendable. And it's the movie, I believe Day won Best Actor for that movie. Did he not?
I think he might have too.
He either won or was at least nominated for that. And it's the one that really put him on the radar for everybody.
It's a wonderful film,
It's a wonderful, wonderful movie. It's a great recommendation, Der Wunderbar.
God, 30 years old.
Also follows, I know it's crazy, follows up and writes, I've seen both Tarkovsky's Solaris from 1972 and the American adaptation from 2002 with Clooney. I love them both. I gotta admit, I'm not a fan of the Clooney version. I'm a big fan of the Cloon, but I'm not personally a big fan of the Clooney version. Which one of the two do you prefer, Robert?
Well, I mean, I love Tarkovsky, but I do like both versions, and I do not understand Solaris along with Strange Days and True Lies and The Abyss are these lost Lightstorm movies. Where are the HD versions? Where are they? Come on, James.
All right. Next up, Wunderbar follows up again and writes, John, did you make a companion video for today? As I already explained a little bit earlier, I did record a companion video, but much like the opening of yesterday's show, my mic was muted and I didn't even realize it and blah, blah. So I got to redo it all. So the companion video coming later today that I got to desperately get caught up on. All right. Lemuel James writes, why do you often say that video games aren't cinematic when most modern games have a script, actors, and a composed score and a director? That, you know what else has basic scripts and directors and all that kind of stuff? Toy manufacturing. That doesn't mean it's cinematic. Look, I remember sitting down and listening to the two head guys over at Blizzard. It's Blizzard that does World of Warcraft. Yeah, Blizzard. And they're talking about, with the style of games, that they're still, the primary purpose of what they're doing is their gameplay. They design everything, even from their cinematics and whatever, to how does it enhance gameplay. Their first, and rightfully so, primary interest is the gameplay. And that requires scripts, the way games are done today. That requires scripts and music and directors and stuff like that. And many times they do a great job. But it is completely different. It's completely different from making your first priority a cinematic viewing experience. That's not what games should be, and that's not what they are. Now, some games do lend themselves to being more cinematic than others. Of course, there have been a couple that do, yes. But for the most part, game makers will insist to you, our first priority is the gaming experience, not the sit back and watch experience. It's the interactive gaming experience that is their primary concern. And that's why games are so successful, because they're not trying to be something that they're not. They do try to implement some things from other medium. Sure, absolutely. And they do a pretty good job. Some of them do at any rate. But they're not cinematic experiences because they're not designed to be in the first place. Anyway, Rob, you play games, you're a filmmaker, all that kind of stuff. How do you see it?
Look, I agree with you. I remember playing, what is it, Uncharted 4, that has the
Thief's
chase
End.
Down the mountain, Thief's End, when you're in the truck chase down the mountain.
So good.
That was really cinematic. I thought that was cinematic, but you're mostly, the gameplay is what's important. And you know, cinema is using a language, just like writing. You're using a succession of shots, different things, and there can be cinematic cutscenes, but for the most part, that's not what gameplay is, just like you said.
All right, and Rob, we are at over the hour and a half mark. I know you got things you got to do. So, hey, listen, thanks for being here today, Rob. Where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM. Find me on Instagram at RMBurnett. Find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work, or my adjacent website, theburnettwork.net. Stuff happening over there.
All right, Rob, thank you again for being here, and I will see you in the morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Have a good one.
You too.
All right, guys, special thanks to Robert for being here again today. Let's keep things rolling now here as we go back on over to Wunderbar, who writes, have you seen Farce of the Penguins? It's a parody on March of the Penguins and absolutely hilarious. No, I'll be honest with you, I've never even heard of it. Hold a second. I don't often do this, but I got to do this right now. Farce of the Penguins, because I love March of the Penguins. I love that. Farce of the Penguins. All right, I've loaded it. Oh, it's only like 2 or 3 minutes. Oh, no, that's a trailer for it. Nope, I've never even heard of it. I don't remember hearing about it, but I'll have to check that out at some point. All right, I'm upset, writes Shaq as the Thing in the MCU. Come on, Feige. Yeah, I love Shaq, but I don't want Shaq in my movie, so I'm going to take a pass on that one. I'm upset. Tyler Yeats writes, I think I'll see Endgame a fourth and final time Saturday at 11 a.m. for post-credits, plus kind of wanted to see it again anyway. Yeah, I think there are a number of people, Tyler, that, like, new post-credit stuff or not, there are clearly, I think, still some people that were still probably interested in seeing it one more time. So, yeah, I don't think you're alone in that, Tyler, not in the least, and I hope you enjoy it every bit as much as you did before. And here's hoping the post-credit stuff makes it worth it. The James Eversole Jr. Movie Podcast writes, Rob and John, what do you think of Javier Bardem playing Victor Von Doom in the MCU? Thanks, have an epic day. Well, James, to be honest with you, as everybody else in the chat is probably yelling right now, John doesn't do what about X actor in X role movies? Questions. I generally don't do those questions. John, what do you think about this actor in this role as a hypothetical? Like, if you were to ask me a question about, John, what did you think about Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men? Like, if you want to talk about factual stuff, like things that happen, I'll do that. But fantasy castings, I don't. Look, I give the same answer here that I do all the time. All I care about is, are you putting a talented actor or actress in the role? Whatever role it is we're talking about. Beyond that, I don't care. Javier Bardem is a great actor. He's a great actor. So put him in anything. So yeah, sure, put him as Victor Von Doom. But I would say the exact same thing for any talented actor. Sure, make them Victor Von Doom. But he's a great actor, so yeah, I'll be down for him being in anything. In absolutely anything. Let's see. John Watkin writes, binging Supernatural, what are your favorite seasons? They all become a blur to me. As to which, obviously the big season that ends with Michael and Lucifer being locked in the cage, that was great. Them trying to stop that epic thing. Season 3 was great. I love season 10. The only one that I'm really not. And what was this? The only one I'm not a big fan of was the Leviathan season. I wasn't a big fan of the season with the Leviathan, and maybe that was 10. I thought that was 11, but at any rate. That's the only one I really didn't like, but those are a couple of my favorites. Der Wunderbar writes, worst show ever. Heil, honey, I'm home, axed after one episode, and I mean axed, that pilot was the only one produced. Well, there's lots of shows where a pilot gets produced every year. There's tons of shows that get a pilot produced, and then they just don't get picked up. That's pilot season, right? You've probably heard that term before, pilot season. Bunch of studios make pilots, and to see what gets picked up and ordered for series. And most of them don't make it. Some of them do, but that sounds horrible. I've never even heard of that one, obviously, but that sounds horrible. Cool Some XD writes, is Amir or did Buzz have nothing to do in Toy Story 4? It's just you. He was definitely a background character. But we talked about this at length he was very significant in this movie. The ending of this movie doesn't happen without Buzz. But anyway, we talk about that in our spoiler discussion, so you can go check that out there. Michael Mihik writes, I got this. Opie Winston, man tears every time. Oh my God. Ope. Ope was my favorite character. I got this. Every time. Every time, Michael. Yellow CT writes, hey, John, I get to see Far From Home tonight. Nice! I hope you have a good time, man. Remember, no spoilers for anybody. Enjoy yourself, but no spoilers, Yellow. I'm a little bit envious. Corey Harper sends in a couple super chats. Thank you, Corey. Michael McCann writes, sends in a really big super chat. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that, man. Robert Meyer Burnett, love the Midnight's Edge doc about Axanar. The production story itself would make a great film. Sorry you and Bill and Christian didn't get to make the film you intended, but I'll always have Prelude. Yeah, for those of you, obviously Rob just ducked out, Michael. Sorry about that. But for those of you guys who haven't seen it, go look on Robert's website about all the stuff. This basically was a Star Wars fan film they were trying to do, and a lot of stuff got done. Rob's put together some great documentary stuff on it, and I highly encourage, anybody to support Rob in any way you can, but to check that stuff out because it was really something pretty special that could have been. And all the drama surrounding it. The production, like you said, the production story itself would make a great film. All the drama surrounding it, being sued by Paramount and all this kind of stuff, it's all fascinating and disturbing and troubling, but again, fascinating stuff. And I highly encourage you guys to follow Michael's lead here and check that stuff out because it's really rather fascinating. It really is. Thanks for bringing that up, Michael. Appreciate it. I know Rob will be grateful that you brought that up too. All right. Rylan Holman writes, I actually have a DVD, the special editions included, with theatrical released Star Wars trilogy. Be interesting to see how you got that because I don't know that a DVD version of that actually exists, or maybe I do know of like a minimal one that exists. But anyway, it won't exist ever again, that's for sure. Cole Hurlbert writes, just sends in super chat. Thank you so much, Cole. Darth Sidious writes, do you think there's going to be any backlash surrounding Lion King, considering the fact that they're replacing Scar's big musical number in Be Prepared? Number one, we addressed this like 8 months ago when this first came up. No, there shouldn't be. Who cares? This is a new version of it. Not everything was the same in Aladdin. Not everything was the same in whatever. I mean, everybody would cry and complain if you took any one of the songs out. I like the Be Prepared number, but who cares if you take that one out? As long as you make the movie great, that's all that matters. The movie's not there to serve a scene. The scenes are there to serve the movie, right? So there shouldn't be. Anybody who would give backlash on that has got to check themselves and look in the mirror because that's a stupid thing to get upset over. Do I like that scene? I do, but if it doesn't work for the movie, take it out. But I believe I heard they are putting that in the movie. I don't know that 100% for sure, but I believe I heard that Be Prepared is actually in the movie. So I'm not really sure on that yet. I'll find out soon enough. I'm seeing Lion King in about a week. Is when I'm seeing Lion King. So I'll let you guys know for sure when I find out. Let's see. Had a bit of a jump. Give me a second here. Okay, here we go. So who was that? That was Darth Sidious. David Tapia writes, Lion King comes out during San Diego Comic-Con. When will you see it? I'm actually seeing it next week. I'm seeing Lion King next week. Very excited. Can you feel the love tonight? Darth Sidious. I don't know why I just did that. Darth Sidious writes, and do you think the backlash will be more from the Broadway/West End side? I have no idea what you mean by that. I have no concept what you mean by that. Jermaine Sneed writes, Saw reports Lucifer has been most binged Netflix show for 7 weeks straight. They owe John for preaching about the show. Also, hashtag Seagal juice. Look, somebody should tell Netflix and the people behind Lucifer that they should credit me for that. I'll tell you what, I would love to sit down and interview Tom Ellis. You guys never hear me, other than Tom Hanks for my wife's sake, you guys never hear me saying, I want to sit down and interview this person. I would love to interview Tom Ellis. He is my favorite character on television right now. Lucifer, you guys know I have been a Lucifer evangelist for years now. I love this show. I've been promoting it every chance I get. And I'm not saying I am owed an interview by Tom Ellis by any stretch. Tom Ellis plays Lucifer, for those of you who don't know. But I don't say this about any celebrity. I would love to have a chance to interview that dude sometime. Whether I could get him on Skype or get him here in studio or something, I don't know. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. But I would love to, because I would love to pick that dude's brain about this show and what goes into it and how they came up with the character and like the personality they gave him, the nuances he gave him that just kind of makes it one of my favorite characters on TV. No. Lucifer is not my number one favorite show on TV overall, though I love it. Lucifer himself, played by Tom Ellis, is my favorite character on television. Love it. Just absolutely love it. So preach, Jermaine. Preach. All right. Hideaway Killer writes, has anyone noticed that the hologram of Earth doesn't look right when Fury and Beck are talking 616-833 in the Spider-Man trailer? Hashtag Lake South America. No. I that's honestly, so that's an interesting thing to look for, because I should go back and take a peek at that, because I have not noticed anything unusual about it. But then again, I wasn't looking at it, and maybe I need to go back and take a look. Thanks for bringing that up, man. I'll have to go take a peek. Have you guys know anything that he's talking about? Have you guys noticed that before? Jump in the comments. Let him know. I'll go check that out myself. Michael Mihik writes, not enough people are seeing Booksmart. It's great. Oh, to me, it's the best film of the year. Best film of the year so far. I love this movie. And I'm not surprised. The trailers didn't look all that great. Some tiny little small budget film from a first-time director with nobody that we recognize in the film. I'm not surprised it didn't do well. I almost didn't go see it until a bunch of you guys told me how great it was. I'm like, all right, I'll go check it out. Went check it out. Loved it. Guys, seriously, listen to Michael. If it's still around you anywhere, check out Booksmart. It's fabulous. Flubbernubs writes, top 5 movies. 1, Endgame. 2, How to Train Your Dragon 3. That's another honorable mention for me. I love How to Train Your Dragon 3. 3, Toy Story 4. 4, Fighting with My Family. And 5, Shazam. I haven't seen 10 movies yet because of conflicts, Rocketman, etc. Nice. It's a good list, Flubbernuts. That's a good list. All right. Alex Perez writes, you say movies are like an oasis. For me, it's playing soccer. It helps me forget about all my problems and have a more clear mind after I'm done. Dude, and there are several great things. Sports is definitely that. Sports, Alex, can absolutely be that 100%. That's part of the reason why I'm a big fan of sports so much, whether it's playing them, watching them, talking about them, whatever. But yeah, it's things like that transcend a lot of stuff, and they become those oases. So I'm glad you have that in another element as well, Alex. So that's great. Josie C. Diaz writes, have you seen Anna yet? If so, what's your thoughts? Still haven't seen it yet. Still have not seen Anna yet. I do want to go out and watch it, though, so I'll get that checked out here pretty quick. Because I love the trailers. What can I say? I love the trailer, so I do want to see it. Fan of Steel writes, sadly, I semi-disagree, Rob. I don't think Lion King will have as wide of an age range as you think. With it being a live action, it loses some of that cuteness factor and may be too much for a 5-year-old. I got to tell you, Fan of Steel, which I love the name, by the way, I got to agree with Rob. I know a lot of people with kids, and they are all dying to take their kids to go see this movie. They're all dying to go take their kids to see this movie. So I got to tell you, man, I see the point you're making, but look, it was done terrifyingly in Lion King. But look, I believe kids, the right kind, can handle a little bit of on-screen scares. I think kids that's why Goosebumps is such a popular series. Kids can appreciate scares. And I think if they can handle how dark it is in the Lion King animated movie, I think for the most part they can handle it in a live action one. Now, that will be up for each individual parent to make their decision about what's best for their kid, absolutely. But I think an awful lot of parents are going to take their kids or go and see it for themselves first and then decide to take their kids. I think it is going to have that wide range. I really, really do. But maybe you're right. We'll have to wait and find out. We'll know soon enough. All right, Brian Warhatch sends in a super chat. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that, man. Jacob Silvers writes, my top 5 movies of the year. 5, How to Train Your Dragon. 4, 5, How to Train Your Dragon. How to Train Your Dragon 3. 4, Shazam. 3, John Wick 3. 2, Endgame. Number 1, Toy Story 4. Good list, man. It's a great list. I love that you got How to Train Your Dragon on there. Chocolate Thunder writes, Dark Phoenix is a 3.6. I don't know what that means. Oh, right. That's the Chernobyl rating again. It's a 3.6. Rontgen, not great, but not terrible. Yeah, it's the same amount as you get from an X-ray. Very okay. I almost went over my head on that one again, Chocolate. All right. Sheepdog117 writes, will Homecoming and Far From Home be on Disney Plus? That's a good question. I'm going to guess no. Unless Disney makes a exhibitor deal. Because look, Sony's the distributor. They'll decide where Spider-Man, Far From Home, and Homecoming go. But Disney, as an exhibitor with Disney Plus, they could make a deal with Sony, the distributor, to put it on there. Until Sony has their own streaming service, then it's going to go on there. So it's possible until Sony has their own streaming service. Once Sony has their own streaming service, I'm sure they'll put it on their own service. C. Morgs writes, hey, John, what do you think are the chances of a live-action Iron Giant remake? With all the live-action remakes these days, it seems like a perfect time. Here's the thing. I don't think so. I don't think it was a popular enough franchise. Now, look, you talk to a bunch of film fans like me and you, we remember the Iron Giant very, very fondly. But I think you could go to a lot of casual film fans in the movie theater. Hey, do you guys remember Iron Giant? They'll just look at us and go, what? Like, it's not like Aladdin or Lion King or anything like that. Do I think it's impossible? No, I don't think it's impossible. And I believe, even stylistically, that's a movie that could make a pretty good live action film. So I could see an argument being made for it. But if you're asking me what do I think the chances are of it actually happening, I'll go low. I'd say maybe 15%. Not impossible. And I think it could make a pretty good movie. But the chances of it actually happening, I'll go as low as 15% on that. Good question, Seymour. I like that. All right. Ricky, I like that name, sends in a really big super chat. Thank you, Ricky. Appreciate that, man. Hi, John. I noticed a bunch of shows that are on hiatus. I don't know what BMW is. Best movie, worst movie, Weekly Hero, the John Campea podcast. Well, the John Campea podcast isn't a show on hiatus. Are they donezo? I also wanted to send some positivity and appreciation in light of the tragic loss of fellow YouTuber Etika. And thank you, John and Rob. I don't know who Etika is, but if somebody passed away, that's tragic news. That's horrible to hear. Best movie, worst movie is just on a hiatus right now, just because we're trying to work out our schedules to be able to do it. That's the hard thing. Weekly Hero is returning. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. It will be back before Comic-Con starts. So Weekly Hero is returning, but it will return after Comic-Con starts. So I don't know what you mean by the John Campea podcast, though. So I'm not sure what that is. Anyway, but yeah, so anyway, thank you so much, Ricky, for sending that. And I appreciate it. It's always nice when somebody wants to send in and say something nice. And yes, best movie, worst movie, Weekly Hero will be returning. We still have four or three more episodes of best movie, worst movie to do. And then that's season 1. Like, we always plan to do best movie, worst movie in seasons. We're going to do like 10 or 11 or 12 episodes. Then we're going to wait like maybe 6 months and then maybe do another season of it. But we do have a few more to do, and we're going to do those as soon as we are able to get our schedules lined up. It is tough because it's me, Rob, Cody. Cody's training for the Olympics. He's got competitions he's doing. It's tough. It's tough, but we will get it together. We will. All right, thanks for that, Rick. Yes. All right. Jeffrey Niffin writes, Pixar has done thing like this a number of times. Release blooper credits after the movie has been out for weeks. Just part of the Disney game. I don't remember that at all. I remember seeing Pixar movies in theaters their opening week and seeing blooper reels and stuff like that post credits. And it's certainly nothing they advertise afterwards. So I mean, you might be right, Jeffrey. Maybe I'm not remembering it correctly, but I don't think that's accurate. But I could be wrong about that. It's been a number of years. I could be wrong. Jordan Ross Weinhold writes, agree with Robert. There's a legit chance Lion King will beat Endgame. Little kids and seniors, something people are talking about enough. Hey, I used to think that, but because I saw $2 billion in the cards for Lion King. Lion King could be the next $2 billion film. I just think 2.7 that's a lot, man. That's a lot. So I don't know. Hopefully you guys are right. Hopefully I'll love the movie next week, and hopefully you guys will be right, and it's Going to make that much money. Let's wait and see. All right. Let's see. Who was that? That was Jordan. Now we're up to Rob J00 writes, hey, John and Rob, what's your favorite Bruce Lee movie? Are we talking proper Bruce Lee movie? And not just ones about him? Let me bring up a full list because I don't want to say one and then have to take it back. Now, what a lot of people will say stereotypically off the top is Enter the Dragon, and for good reason, because it's Enter the Dragon. Why is this page taking so long to load? I would probably go, though... Oh, I'm glad I brought this list, because I almost would have said Way of the Dragon, but it's actually Game of Death. Game of Death is the one I would go with, and I totally forgot about that one. That's why I bring up a list. I think Game of Death is actually mine. I don't know what Rob would say. I've never had the conversation with him, but Game of Death would be mine. Gavin Downard writes, using this Endgame thing so that the rest of my family and extended family can see it, and my grandparents will always be down to spend time with me. Well, that's nice. I mean, I don't know why you couldn't have taken them. Here's my question, Gavin. Why couldn't you have taken them before to see it? Why does it have to be this to see it? But whatever gives you an excuse to go to the movies and to hang out with family while you're doing it, it's always a good reason to me, man. And look, like I said, I think there were a lot of people that were planning on seeing it again anyway. So, hey, no harm, no foul. Rob J00 just sends a super chat. Thank you, as does Oliver the Ricketts. I like that name. Thank you so much, Oliver. Appreciate it, man. John Likes Things writes, saw Hugh Jackman live the other night in Detroit. He was amazing. You're going to love it. Thank you for everything you do. I'm a huge fan. Dude, I love hearing from you guys. For those of you who don't know, Hugh Jackman is going around the world right now doing a one-man show, singing some songs from Greatest Showman and Les Mis and a bunch of other things too. And he's just like the greatest entertainer in the world. And everybody's been writing to me saying that they've seen him in their city and they love it. He is coming to California here in a couple of weeks. Ann and I are going to go see him. We got our tickets. I'm so stoked for this show, man. Because I'm a big Hugh Jackman fan. Big Hugh Jackman fan. And to hear him sing songs from Les Mis and Greatest Showman, I think is going to be awesome, and I cannot wait. So thanks for sharing your little review on That Likes Things, because I'm very excited about it. All right. Actor Friend writes, I like that name. Actor Friend writes, John, your topic asked if Lion King would beat Infinity War, not Endgame. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, we'll have to go in and reset that. Thank you for the heads up. I appreciate that, man. You know, doing a million things in the morning to get the show ready. Every once in a while, I do drop the ball on something. It'll happen again, but thank you for pointing that out so I know to fix that. Let's see. Coolsome XD writes, my mom refuses to believe Star Wars is set in the past. Well, it just to say, look, Mom, look, opening of the movie. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It's the past. Probably millions of years in the past, but whatever. We all have our things. Frankie Gouge writes, I would put I Am Mother in my top 5 too. Yeah, you know, a couple people have brought up I Am Mother. Somebody brought up on the other day, and like I've heard about it. I knew it was a Hilary Swank thing, but I hadn't heard any good things about it. I hadn't heard any bad things about it either. So it's nice hearing from all you guys who are saying you like it. I might have to check that out. The Hero writes, watched Child's Play last night. Would be a decent movie if fans weren't waiting for Toki Chucky-isms. I think this could have been a new IP easily. Oh, I agree. I said that myself, Hero. You literally could have made this movie and not had it called Child's Play and not had the doll be named Chucky. You totally could have made it. This could have been its own completely different movie. As a matter of fact, I'm curious. It's so much that way that I'm actually curious if maybe... And I don't know this. I haven't heard anything. I'm just speaking out loud here. I can't help but wonder if maybe this was a screenplay that started off as a different movie entirely. And somebody said, you know, if you just change the names of a couple of things, you can make this a Child's Play reboot. I mean, I don't know, maybe, but it really does feel like it could have just been its own different IP called something completely different. I'm not going to go into all the reasons why, because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. But again, I didn't like the movie overall, but it does have some really good humor. It's got some really good humor, enough so that I think if you're curious to see it, you should go see it, because you might enjoy it. I think you might. Anyway, thanks for that, Hero. Next up, Eric Huffman writes, have you ever been starstruck before? My fiance and I experienced that on Sunday when Hugh Jackman sat across from us at a restaurant in Detroit. I have also had an almost identical experience with Hugh Jackman. I was at the farmer's market at the Grove in Beverly Hills. This is years ago. And Hugh Jackman was there with his family. And that was like, whoa. I don't get starstruck easily. The twice that I have, three times. 3 times that I've been starstruck. Once is Weird Al Yankovic. I know that sounds weird, but he's the only celebrity I never had the guts to go up to and talk to, even though I've been at an event with him at least 7 times or stood right beside him at least 7 times. He's the only celebrity I've never built up the guts to say hello to. Why Weird Al and not anybody else? I have no idea, but there it is. The other 2 are Harrison Ford. The first time I got to meet Harrison Ford was like, that was huge to me. And the other is George Lucas. So those are the times that I've been starstruck. Every time else, like I and celebrities I love, like I sitting down with Nicole Kidman. I couldn't believe that I wasn't starstruck. I mean, I worship her, but I've done it so much that I don't get starstruck. There are a few exceptions though, and I know the next time I'll be starstruck is if I ever get a chance to meet Steven Spielberg. Liam Donahue writes, I visited Chernobyl on Monday. I wasn't ready. Like the actual place or the show? If you're talking about the show, I know it's so freaking powerful, Liam. It shakes you to your core. It's just crazy. LeBurn007 writes, Spider-Verse available on Netflix. Love that movie. Me too. Now I already owned it. Like I bought it immediately as soon as it became available on digital, so I own it already. But nothing better. Can't think of a better way to spend the evening, guys. And if you got some time, stay at home, order some pizza, get some soda or a couple of pops, sit down and watch some Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. That movie is so freaking good. Let's see, where are we at here? I thought it was Django. There it is. Django writes, surprised no one has asked yet, but did you see Regal Unlimited is coming July, $23 a month, no limits on movies per day or month, other tiers? No, I did not see that. That must have just been announced today. Let's see. I don't see anything in here yet. Anything in the news about it? I don't see anything about it yet. So is that an official report, Django? Because I haven't seen that. Maybe it just came and went and I missed it, but I haven't seen that yet. I'll have to go because look, I've been saying for a while, guys, Regal's going to come out with theirs. Make no mistake about it. Regal's going to have their movie club thing coming soon. But I have not heard about that. So as soon as I'm done the show, Django, you know I'm going to go and dig that up and see what I can find. All right. Christopher James writes, a new Matrix movie being shot next year. Awesome. I don't believe that. Is that actually true? I don't believe that's true. There are rumors going around, but I don't know that that's true. I know there are rumors, so I don't think that's confirmed. So just be careful about what you're believing, Christopher. I mean, it may happen, but they've been rumors about Matrix stuff for 10 years. People have been rumoring about that. So maybe it will happen at some point, but as of right now, I don't see there's nothing official about that at all. So don't spread that around that it's official because I don't see anything official confirming that at this point. Maybe it will be, but as of right now, it's not. Syrian Douglas writes, number 1, Endgame, number 2, Us, number 3, Booksmart, number 4, Toy Story 4, number 5, Aladdin. That's a good list, Syrian. I like that. And the final question today comes to us from Lamb ZYCX, who writes, speaking of binge watching Lucifer, I just watched all 4 seasons, finished today. Such a great recommendation. It brings joy to my heart, guys. It brings joy to my heart when I hear from so many of you guys are saying, you know what? I've heard you talk about Lucifer so much. I finally checked it out, and it brings joy to my heart to hear that you're watching it and enjoying it, because I freaking love this show, man. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Lamb. I really am. All right, and this one just kind of slipped in under the wire. Jonathan Maiska writes, Season 2 of Umbrella Academy is filming scenes in a couple of blocks from my house in Hamilton, Ontario. Auto Street from Barton to Cannon looks like the 1960s. And yeah, I believe they shot a bunch of it there. They also shot a bunch of Titans was shot there. In Hamilton. Hamilton, for those who don't know, is my hometown. I'm from the Hammer, pure blood hometown. I was born in Halifax, Nova Scotia, but Hamilton is town. And they've been filming a lot of stuff there. I even believe Doom Patrol shoots a bunch in Hamilton, Ontario. And yes, and it's funny because that stretch on Barton from Ottawa, like to Cannon and stuff like that, about 20 years ago, there was maybe 22, 23 years ago, there was a major reconstruction of Barton Street. and I actually worked on the road construction crew there, and I got hit by a van while working road construction on Barton Street. All true story. And on that same stretch from between Ottawa Street and stuff like that, that's where it was. But anyway, good to know that it's shooting in my hometown of Hammer. Liam then just follows us. No, the actual place I went to the Ukraine. Oh, you actually went there? Can you go there? I didn't even know you could go there. Isn't it like still massively dangerous? I maybe I'm forgetting something or missing something. That's crap, Liam. If you could actually go to the place, that's insane. That's insane. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget, guys, tomorrow we're back. It's going to be me, Robert Meyer Burnett, and Aaron Cummings will be back as well tomorrow. Make sure you guys swing on by and join us for that. That'll be in the morning. Of course, my apologies again, guys, that yesterday's companion video didn't get made. I had a technical problem. I'm going to get to that today. So yesterday's companion video will be made and put up this afternoon. Keep your eyes open for that. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Have a marvelous rest of your day. Enjoy some movies. Enjoy some downtime. Enjoy your work, whatever it is you're doing. Just make sure you're having a good time while you're doing it. My name is John Campea, guys, and until next time, bye-bye.